morning, everybody. Welcome on in. Hey, Severus, thanks for the first redeem there. How you doing? All right. I'm your host, BullMuscle. We got ourselves a great show for y'all today. Today is Friday, so it's another Financial Fitness Friday. We'll make sure to talk about that in due time. February 23rd, 2024. Today, right, we have re-entered maintenance cycle, so we are not doing the 70s powerlifter program anymore. I would say it had definitely served its purpose. I think it was very successful, so that's always a good thing. You know, you can kind of you can look at a program and say, yeah, you know what, I did this for the correct amount of time. I'm going to do something different. It's always a good feeling, so definitely real happy about that. So what are we going to do today? A little something old, something new. So because we are in maintenance break and we're really prepping for a cut, the cut cycle workout, y'all already know what that is. It's going to be our standard push-pull legs, pretty high volume, fairly reasonable, like a little bit faster pace than the workouts I've been doing previously. Now, this week, there's a couple other things I want to try. One of them is I want to see if any of the gains I've gotten in the past few months regarding bench, squat, shoulder press, deadlift, etc. can translate into a power clean. Namely, I'd like to try and power clean 250 pounds. So I think we're going to attempt that, see how it goes, and then get into the meat of our workout, which today is going to be a pull day. So what does that mean? Well, we're going to hit mostly our shoulders, our traps and shrugs, our biceps, and pretty much everything on the back. The only thing I'll often not do on, back day that's a pull, funny enough, is overhead pulls. For whatever reason, really, well, because I feel like they really help expand the rib cage, which I feel is important to do after something like heavy breathing squats. Weirdly, I kind of tend to do those overhead pulls on leg day as a nice little supplement after a squat or a deadlift set. So that's where we're going to start. Where we're also going to start is with the power clean. Now, I'm not an Olympic lifter. You guys know this. It's not really my forte. And while I think there's value in doing some of the lifts, especially the power clean and the full body press, some lifts, in particular the snatch, you almost never see me do. It's just not a workout I feel is very comfortable. I'm very comfortable with. I don't feel like I get as much value out of it because I'm too busy fighting over the form and self-preservation, trying to keep myself safe, as opposed to actually getting a good workout. So, where does that leave us? Well, I'm realizing I'm going to want to put the camera a bit further back because for a power clean, so we're going to, that's better. With a power clean, very simple. What we're trying to do is take the bar, double overhand grip, right? So we're going to take it off the floor, deadlift to a clean, right? Real simple. It's one explosive motion. It's kind of hard for me to do with this light of weight, but you deadlift up, and then you get under the bar. Now, full body press is that movement, right? Oops. Deadlift to clean to push press, and you end up here. The difference between this and a clean and jerk is usually, I think the clean and jerk you end with a split stance. I feel like that is a not so good idea for lateral balance. It does give you better forwards to backwards balance, but after all the shoulder pressing I've been doing, I feel pretty solid about that. Morning, Big Red, how you doing? So, anyway, where that's going to leave us is, well, what are we looking to power clean. I would like to power clean 250 pounds. My previous all-time max, I full body press 225. So I think 250 just for a power clean, pretty reasonable. And if I'm really feeling my shit, I may try to full body press it. We'll see. Now you may notice, hey, yo, wait, what are you doing? Why are you leaving those bumper plates off? Well, the reason for that is that after this, a little bit later in the workout, we will do some rows. And for rows, as much as I love using the Olympic bumper plates, that's what they're there for, I really like having a little bit more of a deficit. So if I stand up here on the plates, I can get a real good deficit, and I don't have to worry about, even if my knees bend a little, I'm still going to get full extension coming down for my upper back. So that's good, that's what we want. Just going to warm up a little bit more. This is not very much consequential. Yeah, this is just 125. I will be using the belt for this because it's training muscle memory. I want things to feel correct. Like it. Take the bar off. Set it down here. Get some plate out of the way. Here we go. Right, so power clean. I guess we're just doing power cleans. I can move this touchdown. There we go. Morning, Big Red. How you doing? So power clean, real simple. Come down. That's the full body press right there. Go ahead and move up to 215. We'll warm up with just probably one rep on this. Should go up very easy. I should have no real problems with this. Although for this, I am going to want some music. So again, the most I've ever done on full body press was 225, so not feeling like this will be any challenge. Again, we're just warming up. Right, if I'm doing 250, I want to be at least somewhat warm to where I feel confident I can put that weight up without risking injury. That's the other thing. You got to be very careful about that with this workout. Throw a little black Sabbath on. Now it's interesting. So yesterday, I went on just a little run. Wasn't even far. Maybe got between a mile and a half in. And I had shin splints hit me so hard that I had to stop and just walk for a while. What this tells me is that I am woefully out of cardio shape right now. And that I've got a lot of work to do on that. Which naturally would make sense, right? I spent the last 3-4 months really focusing on heavy lifting and not doing much in the way of cardio apart from walking. And walking's great, but it's not really putting a ton of stress on your cardiovascular system. It's a very low stress activity. Same thing with, all the joints that provide you for running. But what's interesting about it is it's made my quads a lot more sore today than I expected. Like if I just sit here like I'm trying to do a sissy squat, oh, can feel that quite a lot. Hey, morning Hydron. Good morning Bougie, thank you very much for the redeem. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Black Sabbath is not the best music to peck bounce to, but there you go. All right. So again, this is just 215. This should come up very easily. I am going to full body press this just to, make sure mechanically everything's working. This should be very, very easy. This is our kind of our final warm up. If this goes well, I am going to attempt 250. Needed to be a little bit more explosive between the clean and the press. Still, that's not bad. How'd that look? We're gonna go for the big 250. I'm gonna be very happy if I can get this. That felt good, came up clean. Now the key here is going to be maximum explosiveness. If I want to get this, I have to I got to pull with more strength than just a deadlift. I've got to have one clean fluid motion. So when I'm coming up, right, I want to pull it here, but keep pulling it beyond into a clean and press. I don't want to deadlift, clean, press. I mean, you can do it that way, but it's suboptimal. You're not doing yourself any favors by doing it that way. Got this too, all right, appreciate that. I'm gonna give myself a minute. This is not gonna be easy, but I think I can do it. I need to set myself up that'll be proper. I really want this. If I get this, I'd be really thrilled. is I gotta sync my one cue that I really need to hit properly on this is that I gotta sink down enough for the clean to catch it and then ram it up, you know? All right. I'm gonna pick out a song, then we're gonna give this a shot. We go with old reliable, get a source of infection by Van Halen here. First, I'm gonna psych myself up. Hey, thank you very much. Bougie Bones, appreciate that for the sub there. Thank you very much. Appreciate that immensely. All right, give me a sec. $245, $250. Ass down, head up, abs tight. Strong leg ball. Not quit. Do not quit. Gotta go full set. I'll make sure I get full lock on this. Oh my God. Let's go. That's 250. That's 250. It went up. It went up. Oh. That's a good day. Woo. All right, we're not doing that again. Holy shit. Woo. All right. let's move on to the rest of the workout. Adrenaline run though. Okay, you gotta remember, right? This is more than my own body weight above my head. That shit's, oh, it's different. Let's go. Say what? Yes. All right, so the next question is what are we gonna do? And I believe it's the answer is pull-ups. And then we got rows, so we're actually gonna keep this bar down here, but we'll change out the weight. First thing up is, we'll let some pull-ups though. On these, I'm not gonna be doing very well. Hey Gus, thank you very much. Dude, that was fucking scary for a minute there. There we go. Nice. We do strict. We go slower, stricter on the pull-ups. See, as I'm heavier anyway right now, 235 body fat or 235 pounds, don't make no difference. Ooh, speaking of, that's something I normally do on Fridays that I don't show on camera, but I thought I would. Of course, because I've already done a couple exercises, there is going to be a little bit more blood flowing there, so it'll look bigger, but sue me. I could use a little bit of a even further ego boost. All right, so y'all, for those of you who are on my Discord, y'all know that one of the things I like to do is post weekly updates to my body fat and my body weight. And you better believe I did that today. I do it every Friday. So, winds of change are blowing for, oh yeah, I'll talk more about that. Actually, another update to the saga occurred last night that complicates things. But what I like to do every Friday is hit my body weight, body fat. I have just a basic scale where you stand on it and you hold it out. And yes, I know electrical bioimpedance is not the most reliable method for body fat measurements in terms of accuracy. However, if you use the same scale and you see changes in one direction or another over time, it's fairly accurate in the sense that that change is probably about proportional. Now the margin of error stays the same, but if you're using the same scale, you get the idea. Hey, Dex Lux, you are new. Thanks for the first time chat. Welcome on in, and thank you for the follow, man. Y'all, we are getting so close to 2,000 followers. I think we're somewhere in the 1950s right now. I would really love to hit 2,000 before I exit South Carolina. We'll talk about that as well. But first, let's hit some measurements. Okay, every Friday I was saying, I hit my body weight, hit my body fat percentage. Today, weighed in at 232.6 and 18.7% body fat, which seems about right. So, right, if I get the absolute correct angle, you can see some abdominal definition, but not much more than that. So somewhere between 16 and 20% body fat seems about accurate. What I also do every Friday, or at least when I remember to, is that I will measure a couple muscles on each part of my body. These include biceps, chest, hips, glutes, and thighs. So we'll start with the guns, because we're doing pull-ups right now. So yes, you do flex when you do this. So that's giving me, on the left one, just a tick under 17 inches. Do the same thing on the right. And that one, yeah, both about 16 3/4 to 17 inches. So we'll write that down. Let's see, arm 16, 5. Those are as near as makes no difference. You know, the same. I think my left is a little bit smaller than my right, but it's close enough. But welcome on in there, Deck. How'd you find the channel? Did it just pop up on your recommended? I always love hearing this because it's good information for a streamer to know where he's getting new audience members from, because that way, you know, I can kind of figure it out a little bit better. In full disclosure, I don't really care that much about the size of my audience, as long as the people who are watching me are enjoying it and hopefully learning something. But, you know, look, I'm only human. 2,000 is a big, round, fun number, and there's a fun reward I want to give my Discord for when we get there. So we're getting close. Abuelita is at 82. Thank you very much. Welcome on in. Thanks for the first time chat. I went searching. Well, I'm glad you found me. Glad you're here. Let's hit another set of pull-ups. We'll do underhand grip this time. Could do cross grip on the door frame. We'll see. I might do that. I might not. I like it. The square grip sucks ass up here, and it's a wobbly, rusty, raggy squat rack. But because it's a square grip, it forces my hands to get strength and get, you know, get calluses in places they otherwise wouldn't. Gives me better grip strength. But on the health and fitness, so I appreciate that. Severus, I don't think you can do a poll for that, but I mean, if you have an idea, by all means. Also, it's // not /. Let's get another set. Life is a source of infection. There we go. That's good. Yep, trying. Appreciate it, Severus, as always. And you kick ass. Saw the home setup. I can't help it, really. Just came from dude. I'm not right. So, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm smart enough to understand why most of my audience is here. I'm okay with that. This is an 18+ channel. Just about to hit the workout game again. Nothing I love more though, and this happens every so often, when someone finds my channel, is motivated by something I'm doing, and starts making better decisions themselves, nothing makes me happier than when people tell me that. They come back in and say, yo, you know, you showed me X or Y, and now I'm doing X and Y, and I'm seeing a lot of benefit from it. Oh, it's the most rewarding, it's the most rewarding feeling in the world. I can promise you that. It's so good. It feels like you're making a positive difference in people's lives. I think that's what we all really want to do. I think most of us want to be positive agents for change in this world. Most of us have an innate desire and ability to do something we think is good. And if helping people you know, get themselves in better shape is what I'm meant to do, then I'm very happy to be doing it. You know? So if I'm what motivates you to get your ass back in the gym, I'm very happy to hear that, and thank you. I'm honored by you being here. We'll do 2 more sets of pull-ups, I think. We'll move on to rows. Most of the work I do on my cut cycle workouts, my push-pull leg split, tends to be on the more bodybuilding side of things. You know, a lot more sets of 8 to 15 versus sets of, you know, 4 to 6. Now, I love 6s, don't get me wrong, but, right, I'm looking, at this point, I have gotten to the point where I'm pretty happy with where my muscle mass is. What I want to do now is now that I've built all that muscle mass, I want to chisel off all the body fat I've accumulated while I did so. All right, I think a little U2 is a little change of pace. Let's throw on New Year's Day by U2. That's a good song. I'm not the world's biggest U2 song or U2 fan, but there are a couple of U2 songs I absolutely love. New Year's Day, Stuck in a Moment, Beautiful Day. Dude, everybody loves Beautiful Day. Even if you're not a U2 fan. Red Hill Mining Town, Out of Control. There's a couple, and again, like, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Like, if you don't like that song, I feel like you're just a U2 hater. There's people, I don't know why, people really love to hate on that band. I don't quite get it. I feel like they were the 80s equivalent to Nickelback, but they were way more talented than Nickelback. I don't know, I like U2. I don't love them, but I like them. All right, so this time, if you notice, I have sort of a standard shoulder width grip on pull-ups. That was the last set, and the last set was underhand, but the overhand set was about standard grip. Now we're gonna kind of move it out, we're gonna try some wide grip pull-ups. So, why would you, okay, maybe I should explain this. Hush, there we go, fucking ads. So why would you do a standard grip pull-up versus a wide grip pull-up? Well, the answer is it's gonna target different parts of your lat muscles, right? Your latissimus dorsi is back here. They're those big muscles that, if you've worked them properly, you can flex and it looks like you've got a Koopa shell on your back. Mullet Man, yo. Sing the Joshua Tree album, driving at 395 through the Mojave Desert. Mullet Man, by the way, I wanted to talk to you about this because you're one of the homies in California. I'm going to be driving through California somewhere probably in April. And I'm going to do a set. We can actually talk about what's happening for the future of this channel. But yeah, would I love to meet up with you? Even better, work out with you? Fuck yes, I would. So stick around. I want to talk to you about that. If you're not interested, that's cool. Just say so. I'm not offended. I've got plenty of other homies to see. But I felt like dude, it'd be baller to see SRD as well, but I don't really feel like diving into the absolute core center of the anus that is San Francisco. Hey, that's a name, BlackieChan64. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome on in. So if your name's Blackie Chan, were your parents like an Asian martial arts fighter and a black person? How do you come up with Blackie Chan? Or are you just someone who really likes martial arts and you happen to be black? Either way, baller. It's good to have you. As you can tell by the fact that it's February and I already look like I've gotten sunburns this year, I'm very white. And I live in the South. You're on the Pacific Coast. Oh yeah, PCH is supposed to be beautiful. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm talking about travel and whatnot. And I know I'm going slow right now, but we got stuff to go. Black dude into DBZ when younger, just stuck to it. Hell yeah, bro, welcome on in, glad to have you. Now, I actually will say, I feel like I get pretty good diversity on this channel in terms of my audience. Probably a disproportionate amount of gay guys, but like other than that, I feel like I have people from all different races. Lots of different countries. Got a European audience, Asian audience, Australian audience, a couple from Latin America. Like, that's a good feeling. You're from Jamaica? Hell yeah, bro. Dude, y'all make some fire fucking food. And I mean that both in terms of taste, because it's delicious, and heat level, because, look, I love Jamaican food. Man, them Scotch bonnets kick some ass. That jerk seasoning ain't nothing to fuck with. Tastes amazing, but woo, it'll light yourself on fire. And it's hilarious too. So, right, obviously, for those of you who don't know, I'm a nuclear engineer, which means I get monitored, and leaving the country is something my employer would really rather I didn't do. So, for my mom's birthday last November, we took her to Puerto Rico because it's, you know, it's an exotic place, and she lives in the Northwest where it's cold and gray and not very sunny, and kind of depressing in the wintertime. So Puerto Rico is nice and sunny that time of year. So we took her to Puerto Rico, and right, it was the tropical vacation she deserved, but it was one I could actually be at because Puerto Rico is technically still within the United States. While it is not a state, it's a territory, and while I would be cool with it becoming a state, they seem to want to continue being a territory because it means they don't have to pay federal income tax, which is understandable and quite based. So, you know, I'm cool with PR. I like Puerto Rico. But when I was there, the Puerto Ricans, I mentioned, I'm like, isn't Caribbean food supposed to be kind of spicy? You know, because I was having like, you know, mofongo and tostones and all the pernil, all the other really delicious Puerto Rican food, but none of it was very hot. And I'm like, wait a minute, but the Caribbean is known for having loads and loads of spicy peppers. That in Central America. And they said, yeah, so Puerto Rican food and Dominican food, not very spicy. But you go over to Jamaica and it's really hot. I thought maybe, you know, because you can get peppers and, you know, there's a lot of heat in Jamaican cooking. It'd be the same throughout the Caribbean. It really does depend on which island you are. And I didn't know that until I went there. But Puerto Rico, if Puerto Rico ever decides to become a state, I'm claiming it in the name of the South because they have barbecue, and it's good. Northern states can't barbecue. Look, y'all are good at doing other things like beer brats and shit, but I have seen what Northerners' barbecue looks like, and it's disgusting. Just stop trying. If you live north of the Mason-Dixon, please stop trying to barbecue. You don't know what you're doing. That's my plea to Northerners. Look, y'all cool? Y'all are homies, y'all saved us from making some really stupid fucking decisions in the 1800s, but stop trying to barbecue. It's good for nobody. Let's do another set. For those of you who don't know though, I have 2 new job offers. One is in Washington State, and one is all the way out in Hawaii, and I'm gonna take one of them in the coming months. So for those of you looking to meet up with me, I'm gonna be moving west through the deep south, through Texas, out to California, and then north up to Washington, hang with my mom for a while, and then I'm either going to start working there or I'm moving to Hawaii. Don't know which yet. All right, here we go. Stop hogging the beaches in the summer months. No, I'm cool with that, y'all. I'm cool with northern tourism down here. There's only one weekend I want them to fuck off. Only one. All right, Yankees, here's how this works. For those of you who don't know, at the present, I am a resident of the wonderful Palmetto State, that is South Carolina. We are known for having some very, very nice beaches, and we're known for, relative to some other states, being pretty welcoming of all the tourists that come here. There's one weekend that is an exception to this rule. That weekend is Masters Week. For those of you who don't know what the Masters are, it is probably the biggest golf tournament in the world. Now, I actually don't really care for golf, but I understand how massive a deal the Masters are. It happens just across the river over in Augusta, and it's a great show. The pomp and circumstance, the green jackets, the etiquette, the impossibly beautifully manicured everything is something to behold. It is, again, I hate golf, but the Masters is special, and I can recognize that. But because of that, living fairly close to Augusta on Masters Week, as you might expect, the city gets clogged up with tourists, mostly Northerners and Midwesterners. The Northerners, and by that I mean the Yankees, Northeast. The Midwesterners are cool. They often don't know where they're going, so they drive a little bit slower, and frankly, some of their cars are kind of suspect in terms of whether or not they would really pass a road inspection in a state that takes it seriously. Who's looking at you, Michigan? But in general, the Midwesterners are fine. The Northeasterners, and by this I really mean New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, y'all also don't know where you're going, but you drive way faster,
And when you combine those two elements, the slower Midwestern traffic that doesn't know where it's going, and the faster Northeastern traffic that doesn't know where it's going, you get a complete fucking disaster, which is why most of us in the Augusta metro area, which I'm technically not part of, but that's the closest nearby city, we vanish on Masters weekend. We leave, we rent out our houses to y'all. So the question then is, well, where do all the natives around here go? Where do all the residents go? Well, the answer is we go to the beach. That is the one weekend a year. I don't want to see fucking Ohio State Buckeyes, Michigan Wolverines, or Cleveland Browns, or New York Giants shit on my beaches. We're giving you the Masters, we're giving you the entire Augusta area to play with, okay? On that one weekend, you get the other 51 out of the year, but on that weekend, stay away from the beaches. That's our time to have them. I think this is very reasonable. You get 51 weekends. You had talk. That is, thanks for the first time chat, and, oh man, look, I know I'm in the peak of my bulk, so I'm a little bit fattier there, but man, this is mostly muscle. Look at that shit, ain't no boobs. Is there with Greg Norman, Chicken Amen, Corner, Nicholas Williams with the jacket, Tiger Woods making history in '97. That's one of the other reasons I don't really care for golf. Golf has, look, almost every sport here in the United States, especially in the South, has a pretty poor racial history. Golf takes it to another level. Whereas most major sports had integrated by the 1950s, and in some instances the 1960s, golf really didn't integrate into the 80s and 90s. So, for that reason, that's a minus point. Again, I really don't like golf, but I respect how big a deal the Masters is. And frankly, the Masters is a massive economic boost to this area because Augusta is not a rich city. In fact, it's one of the poorest major cities in the United States, if you want to call a city the size of Augusta major. But Augusta's not rich. So, you know, between the military base, right, that's what used to be Fort Gordon is now Fort Eisenhower, Augusta University, the nuclear plant over at Vogel, and Savannah Riverside on the other side of the river in South Carolina. Like, those are the major employers. That's it. The Masters is a huge part of that. So it's a huge deal for us economically to have that every year. But there's a lot of legacy there, not all of which is positive. Speaking of legacy and social issues and all that, tomorrow is primary day here in South Carolina for the Republican Party. I intend to vote in that. I'm a centrist for what it's worth. The reason I'm choosing the Republican Party is because, especially here in South Carolina, the Democratic Party was more or less an automatic win for Biden, so voting in it doesn't really matter. That's why voter turnout for the Democratic primary this year was very low. There are no serious contenders to Joe Biden this year. Whereas on the Republican side, it is an actually somewhat competitive race, so I intend to vote in it. South Carolina, and I think this is something more states should adopt, has an open primary. I'm not a fan of closed primaries. Closed primaries facilitate a rise in the most extreme voice. If you're voting from only Republicans, the farthest right Republican will win. If you're voting from only Democrats, the farthest left Democrat will win. That's not a good idea, at least in my opinion, because of course I'm a centrist. So let's move on. We'll hit, actually, we're gonna go deficit rows. And when I say deficit, really, I'm not doing the rows in any further deficit, but what this allows me to do is really extend and fully get the absolute max range of motion on my rows, which I think is a good thing. This is just 175, it's not too much. If you want to know who I'm voting for and why, I can talk about that. That was pretty good. Let's go with 8 again. Hey, Fifi, thank you very much for the follow. Michelle Obama's tag going for the Dem ticket if Biden drops out. Really, Democrats? Is that the best you can do? Look, I have nothing against Michelle Obama, but didn't you learn this lesson with Hillary Clinton in 2016? Michelle Obama is not she's not qualified to be president. I have nothing against Michelle Obama, don't get me wrong. But Michelle Obama has no governing experience, no experience in Congress, no experience running business, really, not really. Right? What is Michelle Obama known for? For being the first lady. That does not make you qualified to be president. Michelle Obama is a bad option. Better than Biden, but a bad option. The Democrats have ones they should look for instead. Bare minimum, they need to pick someone else as vice president. Why you wouldn't copy FDR and get rid of an unpopular and ineffective vice president is beyond me. Yo, Germany made cannabis legal. Good for them. I'm in favor of legal weed. I wouldn't probably consume it very much, but in general, I'm not a fan of keeping things illegal. Banning shit never makes it go away. C, prohibition. Nah, the Germans are known for being extraordinarily productive. They don't need to get high. That's what the Dutch are for. Look, if you want to see a bunch of, German people getting really stoned, go to the Netherlands. That's the entire purpose of that country. Granted, the Dutch are really good at being creative with what little resources and land they do have. Seriously, the Netherlands, per square mile, I think is the most agriculturally productive land in the world. And it used to be water. So it's incredibly impressive what kinds of agricultural and civil engineering feats the Dutch have pulled off. But no, if you want to see stoned Germans, just go to the Netherlands. That already exists. They even talk funny. Like seriously, have you ever listened to Dutch? It's hilarious. I'm in favor of younger governing bodies. That's across the world. Absolutely. Get rid of the gerontocracy. The baby boomers have been in power in this country since 1992. And hell, Biden's so old, he's not even a boomer. He's silent generation. That's too old. If you're wondering, while I wouldn't necessarily vote for her in the broader context of a general election, I do intend to vote for Nikki Haley in the primaries because I think she is a better option in general than Donald Trump. The biggest reason for this is that Nikki Haley is not in her 70s. If you thought Biden was too old in 2020, Trump is now too old in 2024. Biden is also too old in 2024, but look, I'd rather have one sane option at least over zero. So, Haley's not perfect, but Haley probably won't die in her first term in office. Frankly, I don't believe either Biden, if elected, to the most strenuous, most dangerous in terms of death rate, right? The US presidency has about a 17% death rate, historically. It's one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. I don't like the odds of either an 81-year-old Biden or a 77-year-old Trump in that position. So it might be 82 and 78. You get the point. They're both too fucking old. And then on top of that, Trump eats KFC, Diet Coke, and McDonald's as his main meal. Someone who's in his upper 70s eating that every day has a very low chance of surviving 4 years in the world's most stressful job. And yes, Joe Biden makes way more verbal gaffes, but it's not like Trump doesn't make them. Trump throws out his fair share of word sausages as well. And look, if you are pro-Biden or pro-MAGA, I have no problem with that. You are entitled to your own opinion. I don't want any old fucks running the country anymore. There you go. You call me ageist if you want. I don't give a fuck. No more boomers. 2. Give Gen X a shot at least. Nice. We got 2 more of those. Now, like this deficit. Probably don't need a platform with the 45-pound bumpers, but because I'm using them, I really don't have to worry about full extending at the top. Pro young person, hell yeah. Hey, all right, 30 viewers. Well, if you're young, this is the part that bothers me the most. If you're young and you want to see more young people running and then winning, be the change you want to see in the world. Go vote. Go to local. Do you know who your senator is? Do you know who your representative is? Do you know who your state representative is? Do you know who your governor is? Do you know who your county electorate is, right? Do you know who your mayor is? Right? You can't sit here and bitch about the system and then not vote. First off, as someone who comes from a military family, it is a slap in the face to every single American who has served for your right to vote when you throw it away. You have the right to throw your vote away. I don't believe voting should be mandatory, but I do believe we should collectively place a sense of shame on not voting. It is shameful not to vote. I really do strongly believe that. My dad taught me that much. My mom taught me that much. I was raised in that kind of household. And even if you don't like the options, write someone in. Oh, but that's throwing away your vote. Doesn't matter. You are asked, and you are literally asked to do it once every 4 years if you're caring only about the presidency, which you shouldn't. You should go every year. But still, once a year, you take an hour of your time to go express your opinion to your governing body, especially at local government. Local government is where the day-to-day rules really make a factor in your life. Figure out who your local representatives are and choose to vote for the ones you want. Now, you can do all sorts of other political activism if you want, protesting. I'm not a huge fan of protesting because it often descends into rioting, and oftentimes it's sound and fury signifying nothing. But public petitions, right? Going for recalls if a particular elected member turns out to be very corrupt. There's all sorts of ways you can influence the government, going to town hall meetings, I get that. But the base duty of every single one of us as American citizens in here should be to vote. Vote often and do a little research, right? Figure out what your values are and pick the candidate most closely associated to those values. And if you don't find one, write one in, or even just write no candidate in the write-in page. Vote for nobody. Because even doing that is a signal that you do not have confidence in the elected management you already have. So that's what it is. I feel very passionately about this one. That's it, another set. I need to speed it up. I'm going way too slow right now. That's okay. So we got 2 more sets of rows. I think I'm gonna do some shrugs. I'm gonna try behind the back shrugs. I saw someone telling me I should give this a shot. I'm worried I'm gonna have a hard time getting it, behind and around my butt. I'm gonna probably lean a little bit, but we'll see. I'm gonna give it a shot though. This is a trans woman was actually involved in the Fayette County political scene, ran for empty Democratic seat in Kentucky years ago. Exactly. Well, right. Well, I'm not, I don't really have a strong opinion on trans rights one way or another. I have a lot of respect for her in the sense that she does care about that. And in a place like Kentucky, it's an uphill battle. It's a very noble battle to wage, as far as I'm concerned. If you're not willing to fight for your own rights, how the fuck are you ever going to be able to protect the rights of others? So I respect it. By the way, I just want to say I'm not transphobic. It's just I don't live in an area with basically anyone who's trans, so I don't really understand either side of the story well enough to have an informed opinion, if you ask me. I live in a very deeply Christian part of the Bible Belt, so there's certainly a lot of anti-trans rhetoric around here, but I'm not sure I buy all of what they're saying. All right, here we go. 3rd set. We got one more of those. Woo, dizzy. Oh. It's getting warmer in here. It's already in the mid-60s. Hey, John, how you doing? Bro, how's your leg doing? I know you suffered a little bit of a setback. Actually, John, I would love if you kind of shared your experience with that, with the chat, if you feel open to it. I would love to hear what happened, how it got hurt, how you felt about it. You know, share whatever you're comfortable with sharing, but what you're planning to do to recover from it, because it's almost inevitable that we all will get hit with an injury at some point due to one reason or another. But figuring out how to bounce back from it, how to recover, is a really important thing to do. And somebody with your levels of strength, it's even more vital. So I know you've had your fair share of wrestling with it, but if you're willing, I'd be very much appreciative to get some insight from you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, y'all, John here, if you have not followed him, John is, to put it mildly, really fucking strong. He makes me look like a pipsqueak. He puts up some insane numbers in the gym. Like competition grade numbers in the gym. So please, y'all, go give him a follow. You won't be disappointed. He's got, a lot of people say like my setup's kind of old-fashioned, rusty old equipment. John's is even more so, and it's awesome. Watching John lift inspires me to keep going. I don't think he's a strongman. I just think I don't think he's like training for strongman in particular, but he is a very strong man. So he has a adductor, doing some dumbbell recovery work, mitigation day on deads, gonna gauge how I feel today on sumo. John, if I were you, I would consider doing just at least 1 or 2 sets of extremely lightweight Romanians and extremely lightweight good mornings. I think I saw you doing good mornings the other day, so you probably already got that incorporated in. But if adductors is what's hammering you, in addition to your sumo, it could be like with the bar, right? Just some really light Romanians, just kind of coming down real slow, like a 3-4 second count on the eccentric, maybe extremely good. Consider it. I'm not telling you how to suck eggs because you're fucking smart, but still. Blow my nose. Much better. All right, last set of rows. Come on! Nice. Oh, wait a minute. I kind of have a hard time doing anything if I don't have a rack to put the weight on. Dirt. So we're gonna try So you in Yosemite? Dude, baller as hell. Please post pics about that, bro. I did not see TJ Oshie's injury, and I don't want to. I heard it was gruesome. It wasn't even a contact injury. It was just a freak accident. All right. So here, we're going to try behind the back shrugs. The idea here is that you're working a slightly different section of your traps as opposed to the front side. So see how it feels. I need to get down weight, that's too heavy. It feels kind of awkward. Maybe that's a second shot, but I'm not sure I like that very much. Let's try 145. Not sure I'm a huge fan of that. I think it was maybe a bit arrogant to think, oh, 175 will be easy. Because, like, I can normally, you know, front side shrug. Normally front side shrug like 225 plus. But that did not feel good. Did not feel like I had the motion correct. So, we're gonna try another one at 145. Hey, C-Dub, good to see you. Welcome on in. So, should be, let's see. Yeah. So the idea here is just hitting a different part of your trap. Maybe you're still not used to it. Just doing a little Seasons in the Abyss. A little Slayer going. And this is not supposed to be a high weight exercise, so I should be going slow, really getting max range of motion. Here we go. That still feels too heavy. We go down to one plate. I think I need to play around with this a bit more. This is hard. Harder than I'd have thought it would be. We'll take a quick bathroom break. Excuse me, y'all. Much better. I will miss that when I move away. By the way, it's more or less official that I'm going to be exiting South Carolina. I'd say there's a 99% chance of that, north of 99% chance. All right, come on. Third set. Max range of motion. What I really want to do is get it up here. So if I'm totally maxed up out here, it's going to be about midway up my ass. Come on. I feel like that's hitting my forearms harder than it's hitting my traps. I'll be honest, I don't really like that. I think I'm gonna do that again. I feel like that's a much better range of motion. I don't think I'm doing that again. I think I'm... Maybe I'll do that on occasion. I want a difference, but I feel like I do a lot better with dumbbells or with front bar. All that really felt like it was doing was working my forearms more. This is the, right at the angle, right? I guess I could have tried a... It doesn't really matter. I mean, either grip's gonna still do it. I can't say I really like that. Oh, you know, it's a good thing to experience. But I think I'm good. I don't think I'm gonna do that again. I'm doing RDLs and more band work. Good, bro. I'll actually probably do some band work today as well. Just a little, not too much. All right. So next up, we're gonna do some hammer curls. These we'll do for a little bit heavier weight. So we're gonna go dumbbells. We'll go for 60. Nice. That's good. That's 60 dumbbells. We'll do a second set of that. We're going to set upright rows next. Now, when we last did upright rows, what were we hitting on that? I was hitting 7s at 140, so I think this would be good for 8 to 10. Really want to be in that nice RP 7, RP 8 range. I want to have a couple extra in the tank, but not too much. Also, I feel like I need a ton of blood flow through my forearms. I can always tell when I wear my watch on a slightly looser setting, but it still gets feeling really tight. And there's a ton of blood flow going there. So I'm gonna loosen it one more notch. There we go. Cover junkie. It's our good friend Dale. How you doing, Dale? No, he can't. Trump is an idiot. He's also, I'm pretty sure both he and Biden are senile, but I'm not, I already said my piece on that one. You know what's been really funny though, is watching, what's really been funny is watching Russia claim its T-90 is this superpower tank, and then watching a couple Bradleys bitch slap it. Like, that's our equipment from the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. Like, we're bringing back the fucking Hawk. You know, we've donated a bunch of like our old secondhand shit we were just putting in storage to Ukraine, and they're holding their own ground. It's just very funny to me. But I give credit to the Russians. At least they designed their own shit as opposed to the Chinese who just steal ours and make it worse. Let's go Yeah, let's go a little Aerosmith here. Let's go Rats in the Cellar. Green the USA, today's grades for MLB's free agency. Dodgers, the Oakland, the Nats got enough. That's okay. I'm all right. All I really want the Nets to do is kind of inch back towards 500. If we could stay out of the cellar this year in the NL East, I'm happy, right? I recognize that the core that won us the whole thing in 2019 was not sustainable. Like, we won that year with a 42-year-old Fernando Rodney, burning the final embers of Steven Strasburg's career, duct tape and WD-40. Like, that was not a sustainable core to build around, so I get why we disassembled. You know, we're coming out of a very long rebuild. To see progress, I'd like to see it kind of in that 500 range this year. I don't think we are legitimate playoff contenders this year, but I also don't want to be one of the worst teams in the league again. So, to me, 500, if the Nats can get to 500 this year, be an 80-win ball club, I'm happy with that. That's called having reasonable expectations. Yankees fans, please try this. McDonald's ads. Gross. All right. Is this the last barbell set we have today? I gotta look. Curls. It is. All right. So you got a set of dumbbell hammer curls next. Look at the Rockies, A's, Padres, Halos, and Mets fighting for the basement. Oh, can I just say, imagine being the absolute dumpster fire the NL East last year the Washington Nationals were, and somehow even looking respectable compared to the absolute thermonuclear collapse that was the 2023 New York Mets. Fantastic. I'm telling you, y'all, the New York Mets are baseball's finest comedy. No team, right? It's not that they're underwhelming. It's how they do it that makes the difference, right? Like, the Nationals, technically, yeah, we finished with a slightly worse record than the Mets did last year, but we were expected to suck, and we kind of unspectacularly sucked. The Mets, on the other hand, swung for the fences and whiffed catastrophically, to use a baseball metaphor to talk about a baseball team. What the Mets did last year was the equivalent of swinging at absolute max power on a pitch, badly whiffing, and losing the bat on the end of the swing, having it go into the stands. That's what the 2023 Mets were. You a fan of basketball too? More college basketball than pro. The NBA doesn't do defense anymore, and that kind of bothers me. I don't think the NBA is a very good product. The NBA is full of very soft players who get away with traveling, don't play defense, and whine every time they get touched like they were soccer players, and that's just disgusting to me. Sport is supposed to be an arena in which toughness shows through, and the NBA does not reward toughness. The other part of this is that I'm a fan of sports teams from Washington, D.C. You can see a Capitals and National stuff there. And as far as I'm concerned, the team in Washington, D.C. Is cursed until they rename themselves back to what they should have never gotten away from, that is the Washington Bullets. There was nothing wrong with being named the Bullets, and the people who changed it to Wizards need to fuck right off. Bullets was a fucking cool name. And right, you can't name a team the Wizards when you already have another team in the same division called the Magic. What the, no, what are you doing? You can't have Wizards versus Magic. It's just dumb. Not to mention, not that long ago, only a few decades ago, Washington was still considered part of the South, And Wizards in the South has a certain connotation that is far more problematic than Bullets is. Yeah, nobody plays defense. That's my biggest problem with the NBA. And honestly, it's why one of my favorite teams to watch, if I have to watch the NBA, one of my favorite teams to watch is the Spurs because they're way less selfish. Popovich, you know, if you love him or hate him, whatever. The thing with the Spurs is that the Spurs play a team-oriented game. Yeah, they'll have stars, but the stars aren't, it's not going to be diva ball. It's never diva ball with the Spurs. That's something I really respect. Plus, I'll be honest, I love San Antonio. It's a great city. And San Antonio reps the fuck out for the Spurs because that's the only, for some reason, no other professional league has thought, you know, San Antonio is a huge city. We should put a team there. I've never understood that. Frankly, San Antonio should have gotten the Athletics, not Las Vegas. Fuck Las Vegas. I hate that city. All right, let's go. Let's do another set. I like watching team ball. I like watching defense. I like watching a team, right? And one of the reasons I love watching teams that know how to play defense and play a team-oriented ball game is they will piss off the stars on other teams and get them whining. It's hilarious. Come on, look. LeBron's the GOAT, but when LeBron gets pissy and starts whining, it is hilarious. Like, let's be real, right? Now, Wembyama, this new face of the Spurs, been playing on what grid has left the NBA. Exactly. I'm a fan of grit, right? That's what I'm doing in here, right? I'm a fan of that shit. NBA's, I don't like diva ball. I think in general, college has a lot more grit, certainly has a lot more defense, but also has a lot more team-oriented play than men's basketball. Here's the most damning indictment. I will be 100% real with y'all. The WNBA at this point has more toughness in it than the NBA. There are some hard fouls that occur in the WNBA. You know, fucking busted noses and shit. Like, the WNBA, those women don't fuck around. You can say, oh, well, they'd never be as good as NBA players. Well, duh, they're not as tall. But there is a lot of really good fundamental basketball play occurring in the WNBA. Would I ever watch it? No, but that's because I really don't watch that many sports. Like, I'm not going to sit down for 3 hours and watch something. I'd rather go out and play basketball. All right, let's hit another set. Yeah, but look at the players that play about G Leagues are hard-looking role players. Look, again, I understand the value of a star. Go and look at a guy like Giannis or a guy like LeBron, right? They're fantastic ball players. They're the best the world has to offer in the sport, but it's just an unsatisfying product to watch when that's all it is, right? Even guys like Curry and Kobe, you know, rest in peace to a legend for Kobe, but what they did was, you know, you knew where the ball was going. They were going to shoot it, they were going to control the offense, and then the defense was just kind of an afterthought. It's just less satisfying. Whereas even in the heyday, right, the Spurs, you had Tony Parker, you had Manu, you had Tim Duncan, but none of them ever felt like they were the number one star, right? Felt like a pretty equal sharing of power, and they were all in it for the team. I never got that sense. Even with the dream teams, like you're a Miami Heat fan, when it was LeBron, D. Wade, who was the other guy? I know they had Mario Chalmers. There's the third superstar in Miami those years, but it always still felt like it was three divas deciding to play with each other. And don't get me wrong, like D Wade, fantastic baller. Dude could shoot with the best of them, pass to the best of them, handle with the best of them. But that team, it just felt like it was just all high-end talent and star power. Bosch, that's who it was. Yeah, thank you. How tall am I? I'm 6'3". In metric, I think that's 191 centimeters, give or take. Let's see. We got one more set of upright rows. Then we got probably regular dumbbell curls. We'll do some bent arm lat raises, some single arm rows, some incline curls, and then cool down with some banded single arm pulls. I like it, I like it. You're moving on just bodybuilding stuff now. Oh, dude, no, stop right fucking there. Okay, if you are an American citizen and you are 5'11", you are above average height. I hate this. And this is one thing I will fucking castigate women for, even though I benefit from it, though I'm 6'3". This idea that you have to be 6 foot, like being 6 foot makes you more dateable than being 5'11" is bullshit. First off, if you are saying you're only going to date someone over 6 feet tall, you've already knocked out 75 to 80% of your dating pool, which is fucking stupid, right? If you are 5'9", you're average in this country. Average, let me repeat that. The average height in the United States for a man is 5'9". 5'9", okay? Okay, any women watching this, 5'9". Now you have the right to date only above 6 feet, but what you are doing is filtering out a ton of very, very high quality men by doing that. And that is stupid. Right? It'd be like men only dating D cups and bigger. Right? And I'm sure there are men who do that, but in general, most men not quite that picky. Most men just like a woman who looks nice. Right? I think standards need to be readjusted there. And I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying this is a statistical reality. 50% of men in this country are 5'9" and shorter. 50% of them are 5'9" and taller. That's reality. That's just math. So if you're a 5'1" girl and you're saying, no, I only date above 6 foot, why? First off, you're making it really, really hard on those taller girls who want to date someone taller than them. Right? Because if you're 5'10" and you're female, I get wanting to date someone more than 6 foot. I understand that. If you're 5'1" and you're doing that shit, why? Actually, sometimes I've done this when I used to do dating apps. I only did it for a little while. I'd list myself as 5'15", because it's a really, really good filter for extremely shallow women. You list yourself as 5'15", and women automatically say, oh, I wish you were taller. Yeah. That tells you what that is they're too lazy or too stupid to do basic math. Again, love my female homies in the chat, but stop fucking discriminating on height. For the most part, men can't control how tall they are. You're discriminating based on something that men can't control. I think that's pretty fucked up. Not to mention, you're automatically screwing yourselves over because it means there's a ton of women competing for a very small chunk of men. Right, I get wanting to date someone taller than you. I don't get dating someone that's a foot taller than you. And then when you think about what happens in the bedroom, like, how is that physically going to work? Like, just in terms of proportion. It just seems like a really bad idea. All right, here we go. 6, 7, 8. I mean, like I'm just saying, fellow short kings, or not fellow short kings, I'm not one of you, but short kings, man, I have to work twice as hard for half as many opportunities, and I sympathize. I can't say I empathize, or I empathize, but I can't say I sympathize, I forget which one, but, because I'm not short, but it's bullshit. Look, I think there are plenty of reasons that make me a catch in the dating market. My height really shouldn't be one of them. It's so shallow. Fitness question, absolutely, bro. This is what this channel is about. We usually will do Q&A after the end of the stream. I'm going kind of slow today because we get power cleans and I'm enjoying the conversation. But yeah, hit me up. You guys can always ask me anything in here. Just, the only rule of my chat, y'all, is don't say shit that'll get me kicked off of Twitch. It's an 18+ chat, so you've got a lot of leeway there. Just, you know, be 18+ and don't get me kicked off of Twitch. It's a very, very basic requirement. Okay. So let's see what we got. Next, we got, I think we're gonna do we'll do curls, and then bent arm lat raises. I like it, I like it, I like it. Let's go back in the saddle by Aerosmith. Just kind of fitting given that I'm going back to my normal workouts. Crossbows pulled in today. I'm very frustrated with my wrists and forearms. They're just giving out on you. So what you may be doing subconsciously, if it was pull day, your wrists and forearms are cutting out on you, what you may be doing is accidentally curling your wrist when you're, if you're hitting like bicep curls and you're curling your wrist. So when you curl your wrist, you're automatically tightening up your forearms. Try to keep, right, when you do a bicep curl, try to keep your wrist in line with your forearm. If you do that, you'll put less stress on your forearm, and as such, your forearms may not get burned out quite as quickly. Just a suggestion. You may not be doing that. This may be not helpful to you, but that might be what's happening. Because I know that used to happen to me a lot, and I was wondering why it was, and someone came along and told me that, and I'm like, that's a good point. Let me explore that. You feeling until you reach failure in my back, so I'm gonna get some straps. What exercises are you doing where they're reaching failure? All right, let's try 50s to start, and if the form's not good, we'll go down weight. I think 50 is a good place to start. That feels pretty good. Come on. No, we're not. So, Twitch rounds up. Twitch rounds up. So we're at 1950 is where we're at. Actually, I think as of right now, we're somewhere between 1950 and 1960. The last time I checked, we were at 1955. We've gotten a few more today, so we're probably closer to 1960, but we're not at 2000 yet. I can prove that to you if you need it. So I was breaking form a bit on those last sets, or all those last reps there. So we're gonna move down to 40 for those who do a bit more on the rep range. But first we're gonna do lat raises. For that, we're gonna go to 30s. You round up. You wish we were in 1960. I'm not rounding up. I mean, I know it was 1955 at the end of yesterday's stream, but we had like 3 or 4 new followers today, so we could well be at 1960. But if you want person, I understand. There's a lot of people who want to hit that 2000. I totally get that. Hey, Grogster, welcome on in. How you doing? But for those of you who are really pushing for 2000, all you gotta do, tell your friends. Like 40 more people is not hard to get. I'd really love to get it before I move west and leave South Carolina. This is your face joke. Oh, my bad. All right. So this one, we're doing bent over lat raises. Really squeeze the lats. Oh, woo! That's tough. I feel that real good on the eccentric there, squeezing. Really getting those delts, those lats squeezed up, getting that tension built there. We count 40 people on one hand. You might want to get that checked out. Thank you very much for the follow there, Grogster86. Welcome on in. You said you just found my stream. Would you mind telling me how? Was it your feed? Recommended? I'd love to know. Here we go. You know, I meant to do a few more measurements. I haven't done that yet. Let's go ahead and measure our chest while I'm here. God, I can't hit those notes. I really don't understand how Steven Tyler's voice survived the 1970s. So measure our chest. Sit real comfortably right around 45 inches, thereabouts. That's pretty good. While we're here, we'll do hips. Give yourself a little bit more time to rest for the next curl set. Yeah. A little bit closer, right at the top of the hip bone. That's about 35 3/4. That doesn't pump up, you tell me to drink more protein shakes, but you found the right place. So, full disclosure, I do occasionally have a protein shake, but that's not because I'm trying to sell it to you, it's just because it's convenient for me. As far as advertising is concerned, you may have noticed that there aren't that many ads on this stream. And that I don't have any sponsors, although if a protein powder company does want to sponsor me, I'll hear them out. But here's the thing. I don't do this for money. I do this because it's fun. And so I run the minimum amount of ads Twitch allows, which is 30 seconds an hour. Twitch doesn't allow me to run fewer ads, so sorry. That's the best I can do. But you'll see there's a lot fewer ads on this channel than there are on pretty much anyone else's. I don't begrudge my fellow creators the right to run advertisements, right? I don't know their situation. They might need the bread more than I do. But me, my day job, I'm a nuclear engineer. I get paid plenty, and I live in one of the cheapest areas of the country. So why would I need to? Let's go. Yeah, no, this is, as you can tell, pretty fucking rickety old-fashioned equipment. But, I mean, it gets results, so who gives a shit? Well, I'm glad you're here, Gregster, or Grogster. If you do want more content like this, definitely hit up my Discord. We got loads of great information and advice there. One thing that I really love about this channel is that I'm able to teach and help people. Frankly, it's the reason I continue to do it. It makes me happy. It makes me feel like I'm doing something good. Taking miracles. I'm about to say, as janky as my equipment is, holy shit, John. Your equipment matches the Rust Belt aesthetic. Beautiful. All right, here we go. Good old-fashioned bicep curls. 2. There we go, that's 2. 3. 3. 4. 4. 5. 5. 6. 6. 7. 8. 10. Come on. 10. 11. 11. Hey, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. 12. 12. Nice. So now we're going to do 45-degree lat raises. Same thing. Slightly less bent over posture. Hey, thank you very much for the sub, though. Matches the Soviet prison look. Muscles wander down there, kind of like the river of stick. Hell yeah. You don't need all this super. You don't need all this super fucking high-end shit to get a good workout in. Again, I just hit all new PRs, which by the way, if you type in !PRs, you can see them. Last week, after running a program called 70s Powerlifter, which is a high volume program very much mirroring the workout approaches taken by Bill Kazmaier, Roger Estep, guys like that, 50 years ago, who did not have a fraction of the information that we do these days. Why did it work though? Well, just because I fucking simply worked harder. I get so tired of, no, what you're doing isn't optimal, this, that, and the other. Look, optimize it as much as you want, but at a certain point, you just need to fucking lift the weight. "45 degrees this time. Come on. Oh, God, it's killing my lats and delts. Yes, please. Woo, we dizzy. We'll do one more of those. We'll do single arm rows. We'll do incline curls, and then we'll do single arm pull downs. Can't work out until I have a 50K gym. That's really what's holding me back, lol. Appreciate all the subs. I do. Bump up the gym. Thank you very much. Hey, Joe. Good to see you in here. Think about being the motivations and guidance. I think you found what you're looking for, bro. I'm glad to have you. Tell all your friends. We're so close to 2,000 followers, and I want to get that. Try to keep this place as positive as I can. Only thing holding you back is up here. Control what's up here, and you'll be stronger than you ever thought possible. I deadlifted 500 pounds the first time in my life last week. That was 4 days ago. Why was I able to do that? Because I worked fucking hard. I've been out here, rural South Carolina for 3 years, rural Texas for 4 before that, in College Station, Texas for 4 years before that. I ain't some big fancy highfalutin city. It ain't fucking matter. I get in here, I bust ass, and I get results. No matter where you are, doesn't matter who you are, if you got 4 functioning limbs, you can lift some fucking weight. Hell, I've seen dudes in fucking wheelchairs with biceps the size of tree trunks. They don't let their circumstances fucking stop them. They just go hard. That's what you gotta be fucking doing. Now let's go. Come on. Oh, that hurts. Yes. We're gonna hit single arms. Move this out of the way. Strong like bull, baby. You ain't fucking quitting. Never quit. Don't give up on yourself. That's what matters. $5 overpass rate, weights and leg it. I was really moving because he feels like Dollar General grocery just prints making the town a little too entitled to fancy facts. I mean, not exactly, but yeah. So the most recent update I'll tell you on this is I'm starting to get asked for start dates from one of the locations. This is the Washington location. So I let Hawaii know because ideally I want to be able to pick from either one, and I want those offers in writing. So that way, once I pick one, they can't go back and get froggy. Because that would be bullshit. I don't think my future employer would do that, but yeah, a little too highfalutin here in bumfuck South Carolina. Nah. All right, so what we're gonna do next is this is 80 pounds on the dumbbells. What we're gonna do here is, dude, I love Washington State too. I got family out there, so I'm very much I'm very much open to the idea of moving there. It's a really tough decision, really. I'm getting to choose between what I would call two 10 out of 10 locations. The part of Washington State I would be in as a nuclear engineer, it's going to be around Kitsap County. For those of you who know, that's the sort of the, anywhere between sort of Paulsbo and Gig Harbor on that western side of the sound. And then the location I would be if I choose Hawaii is Oahu. I mean, I guess that was kind of obvious, right? And if you're intelligent, you can figure out who that means I will probably be working for. For my gay audience, insert Village People joke here. Again, I'm not stupid. I know who a large chunk of my audience is. No problem with it, but come on. If I can't make those jokes, where's the fun? All right. So we're going to do some single arm rows. We're going to do, I think, 2 sets of this. Yeah, 2 sets of this, then 2 sets of incline curls. Then we'll cool down with 2 sets of banded curls. Hawaii is nice but spendy. Well, you found a really good channel here. Because if you notice in the bottom left corner, I'm nearing the point where I can retire. I'm 28 years old. I'm pretty good at optimizing expenses, and frankly, either Washington or Hawaii look like a new challenge to try. Because I've more or less maxed things out here. I've more or less min-maxed the approach here. If you're wondering, my total annual expenses last year were substantially under $20,000. And I make a nuclear engineer's salary. You can kind of figure out what this means my savings rate looks like. It is so high it blows most people's minds. Like most people don't believe me at first. Then I show them the numbers, they're like, are you serious? All right, let's go. We got one more of those. That's a good song. You know what, I'm not normally a huge fan of most of their work, but this is a band that grew on me. I used to hate them, but now I dig them a lot. It's Fleetwood Mac. And most Fleetwood Mac songs are way too soft to use in the gym. But one that isn't, to me, is Tusk. Go Your Own Way, fantastic cardio song. If you're going for a run, I mean, look, there's a reason they set Forrest Gump's giant run. They use Go Your Own Way in that. Like, it works. YMCA by the Village People. Honestly, was expecting in the Navy, but I can work with that. You got it. And there are some people out there who like hate the Village People. I can't understand that. Look, like, they're just fun. Even if you're, right, ignore the obvious connotations with the Village People basically being like the stereotypical gay man, but like, no, I already got it loaded. We got ourselves a Village People. But the thing is, yeah, are the Village People, is it just silly, harmless fun? Yes. Like, is the song gay as hell? I mean, of course. But like, there ain't nothing wrong with that, man. They're fun. It's the other thing about YMCA too is it is a song sort of for, you know, brotherhood, positive masculinity. It's not just gotta be a gay theme, you know? I don't know. But people hate on the Village People. I don't get why. Like, I feel like the kind of person who hates on the Village People, that's like a class A buzzkiller right there. It's just like, you just don't like having fun is what it sounds like, you know? All right, let's get a little Village People. Now the trouble here is that because I'm lifting, I'm not gonna be able to do the dance, but just pretend I am. Maybe I'll try and time a break up to where I can do that. We'll see. There we go. Yourself off the ground, I said, young man. Come on. All right, form is breaking those last few reps. IMC. I can't. I need to go to glove ball. It would be a blast. YMC. That was dumb. All right. So we got single arm rows. I do love just one other fun thing about YMCA in particular is like it's basically a gay anthem, but one lyric is "Put your pride on the shelf." I just think that's a funny oxymoron there. So it's even funnier because you're always going to hear that song at any Pride event, and it's a song that says "Put your pride on the shelf." Notorious Gamer says, "Need a lot of protein. Protein's the most satiating macronutrient. Doesn't matter where you get your calories from." Yes. So, in theory, you can just have, nothing but egg whites and protein powder, and you could hit all your macros and then some. However, if you do this, you're going to feel like shit. And the reason you're going to feel like shit is very obvious. You're not getting any micronutrients that your body needs. Eat your damn vegetables. That one seems really obvious to me. Yes, it matters where you get your calories from. You can, right, it's the same thing as you can lose weight eating nothing but Twinkies if you eat few enough of them. But why would you want to do that? You know what's good for you. Ultimately, everyone knows what's good for you. You just have to make the conscious decision to choose that better for you option. And that requires something the 21st century doesn't like to talk about very much. Dun, 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 personal responsibility. All right, to do some incline curls, why not just take 200 grams of weight? I mean, you can. I think there are micronutritional reasons why you want to vary your protein sources. But I mean, you can take 200 grams away, but you're not going to have any vitamins and minerals in your system, so you probably get pretty sick pretty quickly, and then you're not getting any gains at all. Do you meal prep, row, and track everything when you bulk as well? Yes. Now, with bulk, usually all I track is calories and protein. I don't really split it into fat and carbs, because it doesn't matter as much. On cut cycle, I'm very much a lot more conscious about it. I'm on a maintenance break right now, so I treat tracking in maintenance the way I do with a cut. I really want to be hitting that 3,400 calorie a day range. Yesterday was pretty good. I think I hit 3,420, 3,430. It was right about on par. Today we're going to try and hit the same, although because it's Friday and because I'm a Catholic, that may be harder to do. I'm gonna have to get a little creative about it. I'll put it that way. I've got me, my protein shake counts as one of the snacks, right? Under Catholic fasting rules, you're not supposed to eat meat on Friday, which is fine, I can have fish. You're supposed to have one meal and 2 snacks that do not equal a meal. I'm considering one of the protein shakes. I had a little bit of milk before workout, right? And that's really just so I don't feel nauseous. You don't want to be working out on an empty stomach. I used to work out fasted. I don't think it's a good idea. To me, I always feel more energetic. I feel like I have a better workout when I have it even just like an orange or something in my stomach. I think that's very much reasonable. So, let me take a breather just a moment. Speaking of just getting a little bit lightheaded here, we're nearing the end of the workout. We only got 4 sets left. 2 sets on this, and then really some cool down. It's gonna be single arm pull downs with the band. So we're gonna do that. So yeah, I do meal prep and track everything. I think that's the most important thing to do, actually, if you're looking to cut, in particular. In bulking, it matters too, but it matters a bit less. Really, bulking, just get your protein in at all costs is the biggest thing, and sleep well. With a cut, though, yeah, you gotta monitor your calories, you gotta monitor all your macros, you gotta make sure you're not depriving yourself of any essential vitamins and minerals that your body needs, because if you do that, you're very liable to get sick. And then once you get sick, you're gonna lose muscle mass, and that's something that most people on cuts don't want. You don't want to lose muscle mass. You're trying to lose fat, not lose weight. All right, if you just want to lose weight and nothing else, just eat in very severe deficit and do as much cardio as you can, and don't even go to the gym. Now, if you want to lose fat and put on muscle, you gotta lift. You be a little bit more careful about how much in deficit you're eating and your macros. I hope that helps. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. All right, there you go. I did it. There you go. Gay audience, there you go. I gave you what you were looking for. All right, let's do some incline curls. These are 40s, which are a little bit heavier than I normally do. So what I'm probably gonna do is a set of maybe 6 to 8 here, then go down to 30s for the next set and do a set of closer to 15. Now, on this, I like to do one set kind of more forward, neutral angle, and then one set on a more outward angle. I feel like that hits a different head on the bicep, or really just kind of hits it at a different angle. It's really nice. Let's be honest, you do it for you too. Poquito. All the YMCA. Start you back on your way. All right, that's good. So we'll do 3 more sets here, and then we'll talk financial fitness, because it is Friday. All right, that song's over. Let's hit another song here. Ooh, I got a good one. I'm gonna do Cashmere by Led Zeppelin. It's a good, solid, long. I like that song. It's a long, right? I want to do these fairly controlled, but I want to go at a fairly slow pace. Really work that eccentric. The whole goal here, this is functioning as my last bicep set. So I want to do this in a way where I'm really tearing up the fibers on the eccentric. So what to do car-wise, I like to buy just another used shit box. The market here sucks. Honestly, what you've been showing me, it does. Have you looked at like a Toyota Yaris? That might be a good option. And yeah, you're gonna say, with the Yaris, it's tiny. Why would I want that? Well, not only is it very fuel efficient, but it means is, especially if you get one with a manual transmission, you can jump start it in cold weather by a push, or like, you can bump start a manual. But because it's so lightweight, it'll get bogged down in the snow way less than a big heavy car. So consider, I strongly recommend considering something like a Yaris or a Fit or a Fiesta. But if you're going for a Fiesta, get the manual. The automatic transmissions on those small Fords are notoriously prone to just shattering themselves. So the Fiesta, the Yaris, honestly, even a Mitsubishi Mirage. The Mirage is a crap can, but it's very cheap. And you get reasonable fuel economy. And as long as you treat it with reasonable amounts of maintenance, you know, you're not going to get 300,000 miles out of a Mirage, but you'll get 100 to 150, no problem. Even modern day Chryslers, if you get a Dodge or a Chrysler 200, not bad little cars, a Dodge Dart, not bad cars provided they've been maintained correctly. If they've been maintained poorly, they will not perform as well as a poorly maintained Toyota. Toyotas, I think you can abuse them a bit more and they'll be okay. Hey, Mitch, good to see you. How's my day going? Well, no American. I would stay away from any Nissans because the transmissions on those things usually blow up after about 80,000 miles. Those CVTs are crap. I would sooner go for a Mitsubishi than a Nissan, and that's saying something. Honestly, I'd sooner go with an American car. I drive an American car, but go for an American car before you drive a Nissan. I know, big game ID, what your current car is, but I'm honestly, you are the first case where I've ever heard of a Nissan Altima going 180,000 miles on its original transmission. And frankly, part of me thinks that it had a replacement transmission when you bought it. Those CVTs, they're built really poorly. They're badly designed. Nissan used to be a byword for quality and reliability. Those years were the 1990s, and Nissan fell hard off a cliff. Oh yeah, the CVTs in any Nissan, they're not good transmissions. They blow up. Stay away from Nissan is what I would call Japanese Chrysler, and that's not a positive description. Get yourself, look for Civics, Accords, Yaris. The Mirage you'll find for cheap. That's right. The Mirage you probably have to maintain it a bit more, and you won't get as many miles out of it before it craps itself. But you'll buy the Mirage for a lot less. Oh, comfy. Well. All right, here we go. Last set. Here we go. See, I'm going out this time as opposed to up. 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you very much for the follow. 10. Oh, there's the burn. 11. 12. Oh, 13. Come on. These are the reps where you're gaining the muscle. Come on. Reset. 14. I'm cheating a bit, but that's okay on these last. It's okay to break form a bit on the last sets. Ow! Yeah. Okay. Those last 2 sets were absolute garbo. But that's to be expected, right? If you're really going for a burnout set, those last couple of reps, they're gonna be cheat sets. So that's all right. I'm gonna call that 13/2 in my notebook because I would say 13 of those sets counted. And 2 were cheat sets. But that was like a 2 to 3 count on the eccentric. So right now, I'm feeling the pump, really getting that bicep hitting good. There's just not much definition right now because I'm on a bulk. Well, I'm not on a bulk, but I just finished my bulk. So now, we got a cool down set. What's our cool down set look like? Unfortunately, this is the most vertical position I can get the bar, which kind of sucks. But we're gonna do, that's a bit too high. Here we go. I think. There we go, that's much better. So what we're gonna do here is single arm pull downs. What we're really gonna do is squeeze that lat. Again, this is not supposed to be a high weight explosive set. This is supposed to be for hypertrophy. It's really gonna focus on squeezing that lat. All right. All right. There we go. Hey, appreciate that, Mitch. Yeah, you ain't been here in a hot minute. Good to see you. There we go. That's better if I sit upright. God, I feel that in my biceps, which is good. I really shredded on my biceps, something good there. Put this on the top one. Shift this over a touch. Think about Subarus and Volvos. Subis aren't bad as long as you make sure the head gasket's been changed. Those head gaskets usually go after 100 to 150. Come on. There we go. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's unsafe. I'm going to change that next set. 12, 13, 14, 15. All right. Yeah. Tell you what I could do. Go for a double band. That's going to make the resistance a lot better. Let's see that. Oh, yeah. Go over 1, over 2. Yes. Oh, that's much harder. Yes, that's what we want. So this is our last set, and then we're going to do some financial fitness. We'll do our Q&A. As far as Subis are concerned, yeah, Subis in general are pretty reliable. They got good four-wheel drive systems if you live in a place with a lot of snow, although really snow tires are better on a front-wheel drive car than non-snow tires or all seasons on a four-wheel drive car. Buicks are, older Buicks tend to be very reliable. The reason for this is their engines are meant to be smooth, which means they're detuned. When an engine is detuned, that means it's not making as much power as its peak optimal power, right? What this means is the engine is fairly low. It's an understressed engine. This is what the Ford Crown Victoria was. Why do people think, oh, those old Crown Vics are built like tanks, they run forever? Well, the reason for that's very simple, right? It's an understressed, big, lazy V8 engine that's only kicking out 200 odd horsepower. As a result of that, it's, not the fastest thing in the world, but it's a big, comfortable barge to get reasonable fuel economy on the highway and last forever. Old Buick 3800 V6s work the same way. It's an understressed engine. It's the same reason the 5.7, the small block Chevy, is a very reliable engine. It just keeps going. All right, so I'm gonna do one more set. Hey, someone like you, I haven't seen you in a hot minute. By the way, I'm probably moving west in April. So, hit me up about that. We shoot for the forest roads and hills of the Cascades. Gas mileage not bad on the highway either. So I drive a Chevrolet Volt. So my definition for high fuel economy is a bit different. So let's go for A Song Remains the Same. That's a great song off of the same album. Physical Graffiti. Or no, not The Song Remains the Same. Houses of the Holy, that's what I'm thinking of. Houses of the Holy is a song that is not on the Houses of the Holy album, which is kind of confusing, but whatever. Love to host you if you're driving this way. I am. Depends on how much time I have. So I've got a fairly condensed schedule. It depends. It really depends on my start date as to how fast I'll need to move through. Hey, Projector Ross, thank you very much. Any thoughts on Volvo? I think they're very good looking cars, but because they're now owned by the Chinese, I wouldn't buy any new Volvo that's been designed or developed by the Geely Group. I think until like 2012, 2013, 2014, that was back when Volvo was mostly owned by Ford. I'd consider going for a Volvo of that vintage, like the C30, for instance. That was a good little hatchback, oddball 5-cylinder engine, but that's a good little car. Any of the newer Volvos I would stay away from. I don't trust the Chinese to design a quality, reliable product. I just don't. It is a shame though, because the new Volvos look terrific. Like the new S80 is a fantastic looking car. I think it's very, very pretty. All right, we're doing our last set, and then we're going to talk Q&A. What they pretty much kept away from the designers. They very well might have, but I can't trust it. I just don't trust I don't trust the Chinese to run it properly, frankly. It's the same reason I'd stay away. Look, I love Alfa Romeos. They're arguably the most beautiful cars on the road, but nope. I'm not trusting an Italian-built car. They're just unreliable. Now, I'm going to buy either American or Japanese if I buy a car. I think American cars get a little bit of a downer for reliability when, to be honest, I think American cars are more reliable than anything that comes out of Europe, especially Italian or British cars. I think British cars might be the worst. Jag is a byword for unreliability. I think, honestly, an Alfa is even more reliable than a Jag. Don't know about cars I'm not able to drive. Well, fair enough. I have to drive. I live in rural America, so I don't really have an option. Like, literally, to get onto my work site, if I tried to ride a bicycle there, I'd get turned away at the gate. And rightfully so, because it'd be unsafe to do so. All right, we're gonna hit one more set, y'all. This is our last set, and we'll move on to Q&A. It is Financial Fitness Friday, so we're gonna talk money, we'll talk the stock market, we'll talk financial independence. I'll whip out the whiteboard and draw some diagrams and all that fun stuff. I wish BMWs and Volkswagens weren't so unreliable. I hate Volkswagens with a passion, with the exception of the old diesels. I used to really like those old diesels, but now I can't love them as much because Volkswagen got caught with the tandem, the cookie jar, and the reason VW was able to put out so much power and so much efficiency out of their diesel models is because they were cheating the emissions tests. So honestly, you have to remember this with Volkswagen. This was a car company that was literally designed to exist by the Nazi Party, okay? Why would you ever want to associate yourself with a brand around that? I can't stand Volkswagens. And not to mention, the original Beetle was a fucking shitbox. There, you know what? No. I've done the Beetle rant. I'm not doing the Beetle rant today. Gay boy, I'm a nuclear engineer. In fact, you can type in day job as an emote. Boom. There you go. That's what I do for a living. I'm a nuclear engineer. Good to see you, gay boy. Brit cars are obscenely over-engineered. I think British cars are just badly built, frankly. I don't think the British can build a reliable car, and that stems all the way back to the days of Lucas Electric and British Leyland. Obviously, I think British car quality has improved since the 1970s, but that's not saying much. British cars have traditionally been horrendously unreliable. Jag is the worst offender. I think Land Rover's not far behind them. Bentleys, which, now owned by the Germans, but you get the point. Almost the reason there aren't any British car manufacturers today that are actually owned by British companies is because they were so unreliable that most people stopped buying them. The British fucked themselves over with the automotive industry. They used to make extremely unreliable cars, and so nobody bought them, and so the car companies went bankrupt, and so they got bought out by competitors. It's why BMW owns Rolls-Royce, and VW owns Bentley, and Tata, the Indian company, owns Jag and Land Rover. I think MG is now owned by the Chinese, lots of different ones. Rahaz, it's good to see you. Manette is a BMW convertible, so that's my knowledge. I mean, BMWs used to be a lot more reliable than they are. That's cool. Can we ask? Yeah, absolutely. I got a mechanical engineering degree. It is a very good industry, I would say, because a lot of the nuclear engineering knowledge in this country, we suffered some nuclear brain drain because after 3 Mile Island, nuclear got a really unfair stigma against it. And as a result, the number of new nuclear engineers coming into the system has dropped dramatically. So you've got a lot of kind of guys at the end of their careers in their 60s and 70s who've been holding down the fort for the US nuclear industry since 1979 that are now ending their careers, and you've got a couple new guys like me, but very little in between. Is it high skilled or pay? Yes. Nuclear engineering, look, it's a difficult job, but it does pay very well. All right, let's go ahead and hit our final set here. Well, Houses of the Holy. All right. And what I have to do here, actually, I'm just going to cross my body. That's going to be easier. Yeah, we're going to do that. If you want to know why the British don't own their own car companies anymore, just go see how bad British Leyland was. Yeah, we're going to go for a little crossover here. There we go. All right, that's going to be it. I guess I could do some ads too. Make sure I got everything. Mitch J, no comment. What school you can ask your degree is, and it's taboo. No, it's not taboo. Right, okay, so it might be taboo on other channels, but it's not for me. I'm very much about openness. You wanna know my salary, if you wanna know how much my income I'm saving, all that stuff. Right, I practice what I preach. So if I were to hide that information from you guys, I feel as though it would make what I preach a whole lot less credible. So, wonder what it would look like if you need a lat spread. Well, you can redeem that as a channel point. You've got channel points that you can trade that in for. So if you want to know, you can find out. Ain't too hard to get a pose. All right. Whew. So, back is looking like a king cobra. Hell yeah, that's what I like to hear. I could lat spread right now, but if you guys want to see that, yeah, just ask. It's gonna look even better as I start cutting, getting rid of all this extra belly fat. That's coming. I already talked about my cut cycle a little bit. We're looking at roughly 18 weeks in the cut with 3 maintenance breaks, so 21 weeks total. That should mean I'll be really about where I want to. If I stay disciplined, I gotta stay disciplined. If my calculations are correct, I'm gonna be right where I wanna be, somewhere between 210 and 215 with a lot more muscle than I had the last time I was at that weight, probably around July. And we'll see where I'm at that point. Maybe I'll continue to cut. You're shredded a bit further. What, 28, you have your shit together? Oh yeah. Bro, I'm be honest with you, okay? By my numbers, I'm gonna go ahead and put in my PRs. You're not sure, but, right? Well, Mitch, I will say if you keep watching, you'll get them very quickly. Those are my PRs. At this point, statistically speaking, I'm stronger than 99% of other people on this planet. And I'd say I've got my shit together, especially for my age, more than 99% of people on this planet. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but that's just where the numbers are at this point. Look, if I'm going to be able to retire before I turn 30, what is that going to tell you? Now, will I necessarily do that? No, but it's about having the ability. It's about what I like to call having the power of fuck you. The power of fuck you is extremely powerful. This country was built on the power of fuck you. I'm quoting, I'm paraphrasing from The Gambler here, right? But, you're a king, you got the biggest, most powerful navy the world's ever had. Fuck you, we're gonna be independent. God bless America, right? I love my British homies, but right, that's who we are. It's the power of fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want, and I'm gonna show you that because I'm doing what I want, I'm gonna do something better than you ever thought possible. So you guys know the day-to-day work looks like. You're calculating in a lab coat, measuring radiation or energy, traveling to be a reference when constructing new plants or replacing things. I'm on a plant construction project. Can't really say a ton more than that. I know a lot about nuclear grade construction, ventilation, processes. I know a lot about nuclear grade standards, regulations, and requirements, but there's a limit to what I want to say in a public atmosphere like Twitch as to what specifically I do. Now, based on the fact that I live in rural South Carolina, and based on the fact that I'm a nuclear engineer, you can probably guess where I work and what I do, but I can't confirm or deny where that is in public. Now, for what it's worth, I will have a private AMA when we hit 2,000 followers, so I can share a little bit more there, but again, I'm very conscious about OPSEC, and OPSEC, for those of you who don't know, stands for Operational Security. There is a limit. That's really about the only thing where I can't 100% say exactly I can say in general, but I can't say anything further than that. As far as day-to-day work is concerned, I'm gonna have to keep it very generic, but what I can say is my day-to-day work traditionally consists of determining and interpreting requirements, rules, codes, and regulations for different aspects of plant construction, for engineering design, reviewing those designs, ensuring those designs meet standards, codes, and requirements and regulations, modeling sometimes, simulations, a lot of typical engineering stuff that you would expect a normal engineer to do, but just applied to the nuclear space. Definitely came to the right place. If you really like this community, man, I love it when new people show up. I love it even more when they get active. You'll love the Discord as well. Strongly recommend joining that. live in Missouri. Living in Missouri and not being able to drive sucks. I bet it does. Missouri's, with the exception of the Kansas City area, the Columbia area, the Springfield area, and the St. Louis area, Missouri's fairly rural, so I understand that. Missouri is Missouri is a state with an identity crisis. It doesn't know whether or not it's Midwestern or Southern. I consider most of the state to be Midwestern, but as you get down to the Boot Heel, you get into the Ozarks, that's very much the South. Like if you tell me, you sit here and tell me Branson, Missouri is not in the South, and I'm going to tell you you're wrong. So Missouri as a whole is a state that doesn't know what it wants to be. But Missouri at least has some redeeming qualities as opposed to Maryland, which is a state that neither the North nor the South wants. Okay, so Como's a baller place, man. I don't have any love for the Tigers as a fan of a fellow SEC team and a graduate of a fellow SEC university. But I guess I like you better than Florida. I like y'all better than, certainly more than LSU or either Mississippi school. Certainly more than Auburn. I have a soft spot for South Carolina because most of the Gamecocks fans here are pretty chill. So also my roomie's a Gamecocks fan. But like in general, I'm not like the world's biggest fan of most SEC East teams. But there ain't nothing wrong with Mizzou, you know. I think y'all in Kansas need to figure out your shit and restart the border war because that's such an underrated rivalry. Yes, we did get the Peck bounce 2 hours ago. So let's see how we did total on workout here, and then we'll talk about finances. Might throw in a set of abs as well because abs are baller, and I got some work to do. That's done in the kitchen, but you know, doing regular ab work, very good for getting your abs in better shape at a slightly higher body fat percentage. So we did today 4 sets of pull-ups, 4 sets of rows, that's 8, 4 sets of behind the back shrugs. I didn't like those. I'm gonna probably go back to front bar shrugs. And really, I think my favorite shrug variation is with dumbbells because I feel like I get the best range of motion. I don't have to worry about rounding my shoulders. I don't have to worry about getting it over behind my butt, you know, anything like that. Speaking of, I never actually measured around the glutes, so we might do that. I'm not going to measure the glutes on camera because like that requires me pulling my pants down a bit too far for Twitch's liking, so we're not going to do that on camera. But I will measure it. I'll also do legs, and I did hips too. I already did that. That was just about 36 inches, which is a little bit on the thick side. If you ever were doxing. I mean, right, it's still, you're still living in a big city, right? It's relative to where I live, certainly a very big city, so, you know, I don't think anybody's going to fucking dox you. And as far as I'm concerned, right, I'm very happy to meet people in my local area, but I'm also a very big fan of the Second Amendment, so I would not recommend showing up to my house uninvited. That's not a good idea. I'll put it that way. Yeah. Look, again, there are some issues I'm conservative on, some issues I'm more progressive on. When it comes to guns, no, the conservatives have it right. This country was built on gun ownership, and I'm not going to compromise very much on that, especially in the realm of self-defense. I believe everybody in this country of sound mental health is entitled to exercise their right to bear arms. It's just my opinion. You can disagree, and that's okay. But I'm very much a fan of gun rights, especially because, you know, like really, and I'm not going to say how many guns or what I have on stream, but I will say that when it comes to guns, now if you're looking for self-defense, I'm talking about shotguns in general. I think a shotgun's the best way to do it because you don't got to get close. And the best thing about a shotgun is hopefully it's the most nonviolent outcome. Usually criminals are fairly lazy. If they weren't so lazy, they'd be working harder and actually doing a real job. But because of that, if criminals hear that, usually they fucking book it. And they realize this isn't, you know, the milk isn't worth the squeeze here, so to speak. So most criminals, that's one thing I really love about shotguns. That pump sound of a shotgun, of a pump action shotgun, usually ensures the most nonviolent outcome occurs, which means the burglar fucking leaves immediately and nobody gets hurt. The best deterrent is a slide rack. Shows looking great. Yo, what's up, hot sauce? Good to see you. We just finished up here, so a couple other things we did today. We did upright rows. Let's see, that's 4, 8, 11, 14. We did some power cleans and a full body press. 250 pounds went from the floor up to the top, which is fantastic. So that's going to count as 15. 2 sets of single arm rows is 17. Banded single arm pull downs is 19. Bent arm lat raises, that's going to be, I didn't record the third set, but I know I did 3, 22. Then 3 different types of curl variations and 2 sets apiece, so we're talking 28. That's pretty good. I think we're less safe as a nation because of our gun laws. That's as may be. That has, whether or not, as much as I'm normally a fan of utilitarianism as a philosophy, this one is not related to how much more or less safe it makes us. It's very simply, the Constitution provides for it, right? This is the same argument I get into with libertarians about the post office. You can say, well, the post office is outdated and inefficient. That's whatever. The Constitution says thou shalt have a post office, and that shouldn't change. The USPS should be protected and should be fully funded in the same way that, hey, banning guns doesn't make them go away. So I'm a big fan of the Second Amendment. I think it's one thing that differentiates us from a lot of countries, and it's also a reason nobody would be insane enough to pick a fight with us, and in terms of like actually invade. The Japanese sunk 8 boats in 1941, and we more or less deleted the Imperial Japanese off the face of the earth. So that's, no, second, the Constitution says it, that I don't think that should be fucked with. And the other part of it too is I'm a very big fan of being a citizenry that puts a little bit of the fear of God into its elected officials. I don't think we should be giving up our guns. I agree with that too, hot sauce. Even if you were, in favor of gun bans or shit, there are more guns in this country than there are people. Good luck. Like from a practical level, all gun buybacks are going to do is stimulate the firearms industry. Not to mention, as a South Carolina resident, there are a lot of manufacturers of arms and ammunition here. So it's good for the economy to keep the guns going. So, Constitution isn't some sort of sacred text. It may not be, but I'm a big fan of, I think in general, the Constitution is a very good document and in general has been a big part of why America has been such a successful country. So I think we should be very, very slow to change it. That's for a very civil defense reason. American citizens don't need AR-15s. Yes, but they should be entitled to own them. Now, I do believe in slightly tighter background checks. We don't need nut jobs owning guns. I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with closing some of the loopholes, right? Like the online owner, like buying guns through shows and online often can be a loophole where nutcases and criminal elements can buy guns without getting checked. And I'm not a fan of that. Yeah, we can stand to tighten up on that. That's what I would call a common sense, it is a common sense requirement. I do agree with Mike here. It's okay. That's okay. We don't have to see eye to eye on this one. I'm very strong. I very strongly feel this way. As far as guns is concerned. Yeah, you're British. It's so sad your kids go to school afraid of being shot. We'll live. Truth be told, I know this sounds pretty grim. The amount of kids who die in car accidents driving to school every year is a whole lot higher than the number of kids who die in school shootings every year in this country. So let's talk about the real elephant in the room. If we're talking about killing kids, let's talk about car dependency. Start there. No. And I will say, most American kids, right, now school shootings get the attention of the media, but when you look at it from a statistical perspective, the amount of kids that actually die every year to school shootings is not as high as I think the media wants you to believe it is. I'm not going to get into the good guy versus the good guy with a gun and bad guy with a gun argument. That's not what I care about. I feel very strongly about this one. I believe an armed population is one the government can't fuck with as much, and as a result of that, I believe very strongly in the American right to bear arms. It's not a one or another issue. You're not going to, look, there are issues where I will listen to other arguments on this one, and you can claim I'm being unreasonable, and that's okay, but I feel very strongly about this one. There are some background check issues that I feel we can talk about. But things like banning AR-15s is a very slippery slope, and I don't really want to engage in that. What is an assault rifle? It's a completely nebulous term. And most of the people proposing this anti-gun legislation couldn't tell you, they can't give you a coherent description of what a clip is, a MET versus a MAG versus a bump stock versus all of these different things. So this is just what, okay. There's a, I think he's Austrian YouTuber named Kraut, who actually talks about the origins of gun culture and why American gun culture is so ingrained. It's been this way since the 1600s, right? There are certain things that just aren't going to change about this country. And this is one where I think progressive politicians, to use a bit of a tortured metaphor, shoot themselves in the foot so often. If you gave up on the gun debate, you would instantly be able to attract a lot of otherwise people who automatically vote conservative, but have more progressive sympathies and policies. From a practical perspective, if you are a progressive, punt. This is one where you need to punt. You're never going to win on guns in this country. Never. Never. Doesn't matter how many tragedies there are. Obama learned that after the Sandy Hook shooting. Is it shameful? Is it disgusting? By all means, you can certainly say it is, but from a practical level, you're never going to get Americans to support gun bans en masse. If they were going to, it would have happened by this point. It would have already happened. Let's see. Guns, Germs, and Steel. That's a solid read. I feel strongly about them from an engineer. Right, again, I shut my brain off logic. It's not an illogical opinion. This is, the Constitution states that the people have the right to bear arms. It's very simple. Therefore, logically, we should allow people to bear arms. Shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. Now, do I believe very much in training? Yes. Do I believe in a well-regulated militia, meaning people who own firearms are responsible to learn how to use them correctly and sparingly? You betcha. But do I believe they have the right to own them? Unquestionably. Again, you do have to remember too, I've lived in the rural South for the majority of my lifetime. So if you're kind of surprised that this is my attitude towards guns, I don't know what you were expecting. Hoping I don't start some shit. You're good, Will. You're good. Why is there an insanely hard test for guns? I don't think it should be an insanely hard test, but yeah, I think we could. This is one where I'm a little bit more open to compromise. Instead of banning certain guns, because first off, it doesn't work, especially with the rise of 3D printing, you're never going to successfully get rid of all the ARs in this country. It's just not going to happen. But as far as background checks for making sure people aren't fucking batshit not getting guns, I'm much more open to that. And you shut off your brain. I'm not shutting off my brain. I think, wasn't there an insane, this is called incarceration. I don't think those two issues are necessarily related. That's the other thing too. If you're a convicted felon, you can still acquire a firearm very easily. I think there are some very reasonable loopholes that need to be fixed regarding that, but first we need to fix a lot of the frankly unfair felonies, especially around possession of cannabis, that disqualify people from exercising their Second Amendment rights. If you've been convicted for freaking selling weed and you've got a felony on your record for that, you should still be able to own a gun. In fact, that felony should be expunged from your record. No, fam, if you try to regulate the AR-15, if you try to ban the AR-15, all you're doing is creating a black market. That's what I'm saying. You can't the amount of ARs currently in circulation, you could try buying them back. It's not going to work. You have citizens AR-15s. What do the police need? To fuck off. The cops, like, that's another thing. I'm not a huge fan of SWAT teams. Not a huge fan of militarizing the cops. That's not necessary. This is also because I live in a rural area. Cops aren't really a thing around here. We have a couple cops that are a bit more like how cops used to be, frankly. If you've ever watched the Andy Griffith Show, you know Barney Fife. Now, obviously, our cops here in this town are a lot more competent than Barney Fife was, but it's that sort of vibe. You don't need to get rid of every AR-15. Well, okay, but making them illegal isn't going to make them go away. If anything, it's going to drive up the value of them. The one thing I have learned about Americans is that when you make something illegal, it makes us want to do it more. Exhibit A, prohibition. Exhibit B, weed. Exhibit C, abortions. You're one of these people that thinks if all abortions should be banned, all you're doing is creating a black market. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. You do the same thing with any kind of firearm, it's going to create a black market. All you're doing is penalizing the people who obey the law, whereas criminals are going to ignore the law and get the guns anyway. It doesn't make things safer. It really doesn't. Banning things doesn't make them go away. That's like saying, right, that's like saying alcohol prohibition makes people less drunk. It doesn't. We tried it in the 1920s and it completely failed. Now, if you want to throw taxes on it, I'm more open to that. One other thing too, if you ban AR-15s, okay, great. You know what? Most gun owners who want an assault rifle or sort of semi-auto weapon or, you know, something like that kind of weapon are going to go for, they're going to go and get used Kalashnikovs. They're going to go buy AKs instead of ARs. Do you want to ban those as well? Where does the slope end? What guns do you think should be legal? Actually, I will say I really like how the Swiss do training. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of more firearms training. I think, frankly, everyone in this country should know how to operate a firearm, ideally. I think it's just a simple American right. I gotta pee. Give me 1 second. One more thing, Mikey, because I really respect you as a person, and this is something I would recommend you consider. Umair 65 Khan. My wrists hurt a lot on dips. Yes, I can talk about that. Gonna go ahead and mention something. People point to Chicago. It's not an outlier because look at Baltimore. Look at Memphis, Tennessee, right? Look at Atlanta. Look at a lot of big cities have stronger. New York City even has pretty high gun crime sometimes, right? And anyway, what I'm going to say, last thing about the gun thing, Big Gay Mikey, this is just a good point for you in the future. If you come across someone who says, I believe very strongly in X, and comes out with what I think is a fairly reasonable explanation as to why, if you accuse them of turning their brain off, they're probably going to just ignore you. That's when you say that, you come off very condescending. I know that's not how you mean it, but I'm just telling you, if you're trying to convince someone to maybe see a different perspective, saying your opinion is equivalent to turning your brain off is not a good way to go about doing that. If you have better mental health services, keep all the guns of these mass shooters. To an extent, there's always going to be some fucking jackass out there. Okay, so Umair 65 Khan, first off, thank you for the first time chat. Welcome to have it. So if your wrists are hurting a lot on dips, so how's a tricep dip work mechanically? Tricep dip, right? You come down here and up, right? Obviously, I don't have a dip bar here, so I can't really simulate that. But the idea here is that when you're dipping, you want to try to the best extent possible to keep your wrists fairly straight. What may happen is that you're doing this. When you're doing this, you're putting a huge amount of torque on your wrist. By, say if the bar is placed out here in your fingers, like right here, right? That means this a couple inches becomes a moment arm, and you're putting the mass of your entire body on that moment arm. So what I would recommend is consider, instead of doing a hook grip, try a thumbless grip like this, and try to keep your wrists a little bit straighter when you're on a dip bar. That's fine, ignore me. It's okay, no. I respect your opinion as a fellow American that you believe differently, but I don't think your brain is turned off because you have a different opinion. Your opinion is based on your shared experiences and your personal beliefs, and that's okay. I have a different opinion. I respect your opinion, but I disagree with your opinion. I think that's the most American thing in the world right there. That's in 2016, the entire PD was placed on it. Yeah, love Will, because you live in the nice part of Chicago. New Orleans. Now, New Orleans is in a red state, but it's a blue city. Extremely high number of gun deaths. No, it's way different. Look, it's okay to have different opinions on these things. That's all I'm saying. You're completely numbers-based. We are not Chicago. I know you're not Chicago. But every so often, you know the kind of person who says, yo, I'm from Chicago, who's from your neck of the woods? That's cap right there. Because, right, especially if you say you're from Chicago, there are a lot of people who be like, all right, man, you're rough and tumble, you're from the hood. Or, you got some grit in you. Because Chicago's a kind of gritty city. I dig that about Chicago, because Chicago is not completely up its own ass like San Francisco is or New York is. But, if you're in those real nice suburbs in what's called Chicago land, there's a very big difference between that and actually being in Chicago. You're completely numbers-based except for this. No, there are some issues, right? This is why I don't support alcohol or cannabis prohibition either. There's no numbers, right, to suggest that, there's no numbers here, it's just based off of previous experience. We've tried prohibition campaigns and they don't work. That's, in general, this is a philosophy question. Do you think prohibition of things makes them go away? In my experience, in my opinion, the answer is no. So I'm very hesitant to ban really anything. This is one where I tend to skew pretty libertarian. I'm not a hardcore libertarian, I'm a centrist, but I can have strong convictions and opinions while at the same time acknowledging that there is value or merit to people who disagree with me and their arguments. That's what I'm saying. I value your opinion, Mikey, I simply disagree with it. And first off, if we're really going to sit here and talk about the deaths of innocent Americans, the elephant in the room right now would have to be obesity first, car dependency second, and quite a few numbers down the list is guns. There are huge numbers that show that gun control leads to less gun deaths in other countries. But those other countries don't have the same culture around gun ownership that the United States have, nor do they have the volume of guns per capita that the United States has. That's the problem. Those statistics don't necessarily apply here. So is it pretty happy with the zero gun vibe here? Hot sauce, and that's okay, right? You have a different culture. Mikey's right saying that doesn't matter, focus on the guns. Respectfully disagree. Anyway, I don't think we're to see eye to eye on this. I think we're talking in circles. So, let's talk a little bit about the financial side. Since it is Financial Fitness Friday, we're going to talk about the stock market, see how it's going today. The S&P has reached 5,000. How awesome is that? What that means is portfolios at an all-time high. I'm getting very close to the financial independence point, which means I have a lot of freedom. This is really what I've been pursuing through my 20s, so I'm very, very happy about that. Looking at the markets today, we've got looks like a pretty flat day. S&P is up about 4 points to just a tick under 5,100. NASDAQ is down slightly, and the Dow is up slightly. Dow's almost at 40,000. That's a huge milestone. Your hippie stocks are up. That's one thing I respect about you there, Hot Sauce. I know you're more leftist when it comes to economics than I am, but you understand the system you live in, and therefore, as someone who has issues that you very much care about, you try to vote with your wallet and invest in companies that you believe in. I have a lot of respect for that. You're the only gun situation. You go to some situations, how you defend yourself going against someone who has a gun. Hey, Jesse, good to see you. Welcome on in. Well, let's move on from guns, because I feel like we're talking in circles. No offense. And again, I respect people who disagree with me's opinion on this one. That's okay. Basically, yes, lots of green energy stuff. I mean, solar power has come a huge, huge way. I am a fan. Now, I may be a nuclear engineer, and while I do believe we need nuclear as a baseload energy producer for when solar is not available, I think solar power has come a huge, huge way in the last 10 to 15 years. And it's to the point where new solar installations are often cheaper than any other options. Now, it does depend. If you live in a sunnier climate, it's a lot easier to make solar work out in terms of math. Now, if you live in a colder, less sunny, or less high elevation even climate, solar may not quite make as much sense as other options. For instance, in Britain is a notoriously kind of gray, cloudy place most of the time, which is why most of Britain's renewables push has been through wind, which makes sense because there's strong breezes off the English and Scottish coastlines. Whether or not the United States should copy that is a different question. Some parts of the United States have. Believe it or not, the state known mostly for oil and gas production, Texas, has immense amounts of wind power coming out. The Panhandle in Texas is one of the windiest places on earth. If you have ever been to Lubbock, and I regret to inform the audience that I have, Lubbock is not a particularly desirable place, you will know that the wind is blowing at like 20 to 25 miles an hour pretty much all the time there, which means you have a very easy source of energy. And what I really like here is the lack of agricultural regulations. What does that mean? In some states, there are agricultural regulations that state farmers cannot sell their land to power companies to build wind turbines. Now, a wind turbine, right, is not going to take up a ton of physical land space on a farm. A farm's going to be, lots of acres of land. A wind turbine, right, you're going to probably need, at the base, maybe 20 feet by 20 feet or 30 feet by 30 feet. It's a very tiny chunk of land, and then, the rest of the turbine's built upwards. Well, unless pigs have started flying and cows have started flying, we don't have to worry about animals, farm livestock animals, going up there and getting chopped in half by wind turbines. Now, we do have to worry about birds doing that. There are ways, I think, there's certain reflective materials that if you paint the tips of wind turbines with, they're better at kind of warning birds to stay away from the turbine, but I don't know exactly the details on that. I'd have to figure that out. But there are ways to prevent quite as many bird deaths from wind turbines. However, the idea that wind turbines are just killing birds en masse is a bit ridiculous. Do you want to know what causes a whole lot more natural wildlife bird deaths than wind turbines? Cats. Yep. Our feline friends do a whole lot more damage to local bird populations than wind turbines do. The idea that birds are getting freaking genocided by wind turbines is a talking point from the oil and gas industry. In Washington State, yes, hydrogen or the hydropower is a big deal. Out there in Washington, you have some of the cheapest electricity in the country, and interestingly enough, some of the most expensive gas in the country for gasoline for fuel. If I was living in Washington State, I would buy a fully electric car instantly. Washington State is the state in which it makes probably the most sense to own an electric car because electricity is very cheap and gasoline is very expensive. And the reason for that is geographic. There's no oil reserves in Washington State. There are no refineries in Washington State. The nearest refineries are in California, and a lot of those are getting shut down because the state of California is very authoritarian and doesn't like the oil and gas industry. So it's getting increasingly more difficult to ship oil to that part of the country. So if you live in the Pacific Northwest, gas prices aren't coming down. Buy an electric car. The other thing with Washington State is that they have a lot of baseload power. Not only do you have Grand Coulee, the Columbia River dams, all those other dams providing shit tons of power in Washington State, but you also have the nuclear plant out there. There is one nuclear power plant, I think it's around, I want to say the Tri-Cities, like Kennewick, Pasco, that area, that produces lots of baseload power as well. So all those, and that's one other thing. For those Western Washington residents, they get real pissy about the stuff that the Eastern Washington residents say. You want that side of the state because you rely on them for your produce and you rely on them for your electricity. Don't piss off Eastern Washington. I know there's a lot of Seattle residents in particular that cannot bear to bring themselves to ever say anything nice about Spokane or the Tri-Cities, and definitely not about Pullman because most of them are UW fans and Pullman's where Washington State is. Go Cougars. Not ag schools represent ag schools, so as far as that's concerned. The rates just went up 30%. Interesting. Well, even if they went up 30%, Grogster, I would bet you electricity prices in Washington are still among the cheapest in the United States. I'm an Aggie for what it's worth, so obviously I'm gonna be a lot more a fan of the state schools. Also, Cougar Gold cheese is delicious. And also extremely fucking difficult to find anywhere east of the Rockies. Good luck, is what I would say. If you gotta, it's like you gotta have a freaking plug, man, to get Cougar Gold cheese half the time. Anyway, so as far as finances is concerned, things are looking pretty good there. My individual personal stocks are up and down. Coinbase recorded a massive profit, and while I'm not the biggest crypto bull, I think I like having a little bit of crypto exposure. I bet on Coinbase stock in particular because don't buy the gold, buy the gold owning banks. And in this instance, crypto is the gold, and Coinbase is the only major crypto broker left standing after FTX went bust because it was run like a scam, and Binance has had massive legal troubles with the owner getting in hot water, both with the United States and I believe China. How'd you piss them both off? So anyway, I'm a big fan of Coinbase stock. I have several shares, and because of the most recent earnings report, it shot back up. It was in like the 120, 130 range, and it shot back up to like 180. I think it's floating around 170 today. I actually sold a call at 170, so we'll see. I'm kind of waiting for Theta to do its thing there. I don't think, we'll see. If, I make a profit, if that call ends up in the money, I sell that, that's a good chunk of liquidity opened up too, so I can either buy more stock or put it back in index funds, or hold it and wait for the next economic come down, since money mutual funds right now are paying 5% as a return, which is like 5% yield on a money market is fucking fantastic because of how high rates are. So, I'm not too upset. I have a little bit of my money in cash right now. I'm pretty bullish, so I will put monthly contributions into dollar cost average on S&P 500 and other base mutual funds. You guys have heard me talk about these: VTI, VO, VB, VNQ, VYM, all those good stuff. I'm a big fan of Vanguard, which probably shouldn't surprise you based on everything I've said. Oh, Love Will, I missed this question. I've never asked an actual engineer, where does the spent water and fuel go? Well, okay, so now if you're talking about spent water or fuel, it depends on what kind of reactor. First off, with a pressurized or boiling water reactor, you have two different cooling cycles. You have two different cycles for the water, right? So in a boiling water reactor, it's just one cycle. You have water, it goes into the reactor has nuclear fission going on. Nuclear fission releases lots of heat. Heat boils the water. Water turns into steam. Steam turns to turbine. The turbine makes electricity. And then that water cools off as it goes to the turbine. And then it goes back to the system. And again, and again, and again, and again. And that water can stay in there for fucking 50 years. It doesn't matter. So it's not a ton of volume of water. Pressurized water works slightly different. You have a pressurized system. So you've got an inner loop and an outer loop. The outer loop is what turns the turbine, turns into steam, but the outer loop is heated by a heat exchanger that is heated by pressurized water that stays liquid as it goes through the reactor. So there's two different models there. Then you have other different newer types of reactors, molten salt reactors, which fucking finally the NRC just like last week, the NRC finally fucking allowed the operators at Oak Ridge to build a test reactor for molten salt. That should have happened 10, 15 years ago, but the NRC is fucking slow. If you have been on this channel for any amount of time, you know how my feelings on the NRC are, and really any US nuclear regulatory agencies. They are extreme in not a good way. There is something as too much safety. Yes, you can overdo it. Something where you're trying to wake up calls for accountability. Mental gymnastics poll in this country for my guns is very similar to the gymnastics poll for my foods. I disagree. Respectfully, I don't think it's the same. There is no constitutional right for diabetes. Anyway, as far as speaking of Washington, so I was talking about this earlier. For those of you who didn't know, you're still just pushing a piston. It's an advancement of dentistry, still drilling, filling, and pulling. Are you a dentist? Interesting. But as far as generating electricity, for the most part, relies entirely on boiling water. How well and how efficiently can you boil water? You can either burn fuel, or you can turn a turbine, or yada, yada, yada. As far as, what was I gonna say? For those of you who didn't know, the future of the channel, I, again, currently sitting here in South Carolina, will likely be looking to move out over the couple of months. So if you live in the states of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Oregon, or Washington, or Hawaii. Hawaii's a maybe at the moment. It's going to be dependent on which offer I choose. And you want to hang out with me or meet up in real life, grab I've given up alcohol, but grab an NA beer or go for a workout. Like, you want to invite me to your gym and we can work out together. I am so fucking about that. Count me in. School shootings are protected. That's we're not seeing eye to eye on this one. Let's drop this. Let's drop this one. We talked about that enough. I think might be. I respect you I respect your opinion, but I think it's very clear that we disagree on this one. So as a complete diversion, let's see here. Make sure we got any other. Let's see if there's any other stock market tips I was going to say. Oh, this one was funny. Speaking of guys I like to laugh at in the financial independence space, there's a guy by the name of Sam Dogan who calls himself the Financial Samurai, and he used to be someone who espoused the principles of the FIRE movement, which is consume a little bit less, save a good chunk of your money, and work hard to build yourself an early retirement. Unfortunately, at some point, Mr. Dogan moved out to San Francisco and fucking free-based lifestyle creep into his system to the point where he's considering going back to work instead of just letting his kids attend public school instead of private school, and I don't understand that. That's what I would call a bit silly. He's one of these people that thinks it's hard to live on $200,000 a year. Like, that's that's poverty level, which is ridiculous. National Ad Council is moving towards pushing us to nuclear energy. That'd be fantastic. Okay, so you're talking about waste. I'm sorry, I forgot to get to that. So, nuclear waste in this country is primarily broken up into 4 categories, okay? Nuclear waste, you have low-level waste. It's ultra low-level waste, low-level waste, high-level waste, and I think I forget what the 4th one is. But the idea here is that really the only one you need to worry about is high-level waste, which is usually spent fuel rods. So ultra low and low level waste is things like slightly contaminated clothing that basically if you put it in a storage facility for a couple of decades, it'll be just fine. And we can build a storage facility to hold stuff for a couple of decades. That's very easy. We already have in some instances. In fact, we have something called WIPP, which does that for the military out in New Mexico. High level waste, okay? Bought my first house on $14.50 an hour, full-time job in Washington State in 1998. Holy shit, that's awesome. I can't say that's the same for my generation. Housing prices have gotten crazy. We go through that and it doesn't get better. Oh my goodness. Full hardcore hair loss chemo. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Look, I don't know if you believe in God or not, but I'll try and say a prayer for you. As someone whose family has been affected by cancer before, I wish you all the success. May God be on your side. May you have friends and family be there for you in your time of struggle, because it's not going to be easy. I wish you all the best. Good luck. Stay strong. Stay strong, because even if times are tough, if you can stay strong, you can motivate others to stay strong, and that's a very noble thing to be able to do. So, good luck. Wishing you all the best. Let me give you a shout out. Holy shit. Y'all, go give some love to Miss Hot Sauce here. We don't see eye to eye on politics, but she is just a wonderful person in general. And she's going to be going through some tough times here. So let's help her out. Y'all, please go give her a follow. That's just the right thing to do. Fucking do the right thing. Anyway, Lovewell, to answer your nuclear waste question. So, in the 1980s, the Reagan administration said, okay, we've got all these nuclear power plants that have been operating since the 50s. We need to find a place to store all this waste. And as a result, a study was conducted to find the ideal place where there's no water table to worry about, so nothing can get contaminated. There's very little seismic activity. There's no indigenous people. There's none of that. And they found a chunk of Nye County, Nevada, under a mountain called Yucca Mountain. Yucca Mountain is the most studied piece of land in the world. The number of studies we have done on Yucca Mountain is frankly mind-blowing. And there is no better place to store nuclear waste than that. There basically no water ever falls there. Even these atmospheric rivers that have been hit in California don't make it over the Sierras into Yucca Mountain. Yucca Mountain is incredibly dry in general, so you don't have to worry about a water table. Yucca Mountain is not near any major seismic faults. Yeah, you've got the Sierras fairly nearby, but Yucca Mountain's far enough away to where that's not a huge issue. Not to mention, you can build seismic-grade nuclear equipment. In fact, I know how to do that. That's part of the regulations we must comply with at my work site. You don't have to worry about that. It's not going to ever be a earthquake the way that, say, the Tohoku earthquake in Fukushima was in 2011. Nevada's just too far inland for that to be a problem. Isn't that Witch Mountain from the Disney movie in the 70s? No, Yucca Mountain's slightly different than that. I see what you're going for there. Now, why did Yucca Mountain never get built? Well, we started on it in, I think it was the first Bush administration that started work on it, continued going through the Clinton administration, but it kept getting bogged down because of a certain asshole whose name is on the airport for the city I hate the most in the United States, that being Mr. Harry Reid. Harry Reid listened to a bunch of NIMBYs, which is not in my backyard, constituents in Nevada who tried to do everything they could to scuttle the project. And because Harry Reid was a high-up Democrat when Obama took office, Harry Reid leveraged that to get Yucca Mountain scuttled. And that's why we don't have a permanent nuclear storage facility. Stupid politics. So fuck Harry Reid. That's all I'm going to say about that. Rest in piss. Fucking bozo. For the record, by the way, Nye County, Nevada has a population of like 1,000. Nye County, Nevada basically has nobody living in it. It's the perfect place to put a nuclear waste storage facility. But because the Nevada state government and Harry Reid scuttled the project, now we're looking for a new place. We're looking in the Permian Basin in Texas because Texas and southeastern New Mexico aren't run by fucking morons. They understand how valuable it's the easiest source of jobs in the world. Frankly, I think there are some excellent places here in South Carolina that you could put nuclear waste. And people think, oh, nuclear waste, why would I ever want to be next to that? Okay, people have a misconception of how radiation works. And even high-level nuclear waste, so how is high-level nuclear waste currently stored since we don't have this facility? Well, it's stored in spent fuel pools, it's spent in pools of water on nuclear power plant facilities. So this is the most wild part. People say, oh, what about a seismic event? What about nuclear waste in a seismic event? Oh God, we can't build Yucca Mountain. You know, Diablo Canyon's right on the Pacific coast in California, and it stores shit tons of waste because Diablo Canyon's been operating since the 1980s. There you go. Also, I should add, Diablo Canyon is very safe. Diablo Canyon needs to keep running because California doesn't have a lot of baseload electricity. Speaking of NIMBYs in California, this is another stupidity one. When San Onofre got shut down in 2012, Governor Jerry Brown at the time said, we'll replace it with renewables. You might as well have said, we'll replace it with unicorn farts, because what they really did was amp up natural gas usage and start importing electricity from Gila River in Arizona. So what you really did was just outsource shit tons of jobs in Southern California. Good fucking going. Look, as someone who lived a large chunk of his life in Texas, crapping on California is practically a sport to me. And there are things I love about the Golden State, but like, dear God, y'all are run by some idiots. Like, you're literally got some Patrick Bateman type motherfucker in your fucking governorship right now. What are you doing, California? Get your head out your ass. What bothers me about California is this wasted potential. California could be the best state in the country by a country mile. And almost every single problem California has is self-inflicted. That's what bothers me about California. It's not, right, like, no offense to some of my fellow states here in the Deep South, even here in South Carolina's never ever going to be like #1 on any of these development indices or GDP per capita or new innovation or anything like that. Now, South Carolina's come a long way the last 10, 15, 20 years, but there's a big difference between us and a lot of the tech powerhouses, but it just, you could be so much better, California. Why are you the way that you are? Anyway, as far as the spent fuel rods are concerned, so they're on, right now, all the spent fuel rods in America's nuclear industry, they're just sitting there in water in every nuclear power plant. They're not hurting anything, and they're not hurting anybody. As it turns out, water is a really good absorber of radiation, so you're perfectly fine. In fact, all you need is very light PPE, and you can go into a spent fuel pool and look at spent fuel rods all day long with a Geiger counter sitting right here on your boob, and you'll be fine. You got no issues. Now, what happens when, right, and why do you put them in water at first? Well, at first, you want to put spent fuel rods in water because that also cools them. Spent fuel rods, right, after running in a nuclear reactor for months or years, are going to be very hot, right? They're like physically, like thermally, they're still going to be giving off a lot of fission. That fission is going to cause heat, and then they will melt if you don't keep them cool. A way to keep them cool is, well, put them in water. That also is a really good way to absorb radiation. So, well, what do you do at that point? Give it a few years, a lot of half-lives cook off. In essence, I'm oversimplifying the fuck out of this, but once you got to that point, real easy. Just put them in dry cask storage, which is basically you seal up the fuel rods in concrete, and because of that concrete being really fucking thick, it's never going to affect anyone. This is what would have happened in Yucca Mountain. Had we finished Yucca Mountain, we would have simply put them in dry cask storage. They would have been buried 2,000 feet under a mountain, and then they would have been pretty much left there for, I don't know, a couple 100,000 years until we figured out something better to do with them. Because I guarantee you, nuclear fission technology and nuclear fusion technology is not going to stay static. Over the generations, probably after we're dead, people will see all these spent fuel rods and be like, yo, let's use that for something cool now. In fact, we've known how to do that since 1964. That's called a breeder reactor, or an integral fast reactor. We built one called EBR-2 in 1964, and it produced electricity out in rural Idaho for 30 years before Congress shut it down in the 90s. So that was eating old fuel rods to turn them into power. We know how to do this, we just don't want to. I could go on, and I have been going on. And it's afternoon, so I'm going to probably get me some lunch pretty soon. So I think we're gonna look for someone to raid here. It's been a good stream, but I think we're reaching the end. So there's your answer as to what happens to nuclear waste. It's nowhere near as scary as people say it is. You have to really work to screw with nuclear waste. Anyway. Yeah, Hot Sauce, you have a good one too. I think we're going to hit Supernatural. We haven't rated her in a minute, so we're going to go do that. I'm feeling some cardio today. I'm going to go for a nice long walk. It's really nice out. It's like 65, sunny. So, yeah, we are going to raid Supernatural. Natural. Come on, Ryder. Thanks for stream. If you really like it, Grogster, hit me up on the Discord. I got even more great content for you. So we're gonna hit Supernatural Rider. She's awesome. She also does weightlifting. She does like Pomodoro technique, a lot of creativity type stuff, writing, all sorts of really cool stuff. So it should be a good time, y'all. We're gonna go over there. We're gonna raid her. Raid message is Bull Rush, as it always is. And that's going to be it for me today, y'all. So until next time, make good decisions. Those good decisions form your actions. Those actions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Those values form an ethos. You be the guide star through the rough waters of life. Much love, y'all. Come in for the hug. See you tomorrow, same place, same time. Raid ski.